Alright, you guys know exactly what time it is here. Everybody in the zombies community has been talking about this one. Hang on, let's move the camera over a little bit. So I'm gonna hop on the train. NoahJ456's tier list.
Just the best video. Listen, I don't care what YouTubers you watch.
So I've heard a lot about this video. I've heard a couple of the map rankings already. I've had some friends who have watched it who have told me that it's absolutely terrible, but I figured there's no better way to start off this episode of Hot Takes, or this new sort of long-term series Hot Takes, than to talk about this video. I'm keeping it muted right now because this is all probably just like sponsorship stuff, introductory stuff, that we don't really care about. But oh wait, are we jumping right into it? Nope, no we're not. Okay. But anyways, heard this tier list is god awful, so I'm here to give my opinions on it. And you know what? I might upgrade my own tier list, but yeah. So the idea behind this series, I script out a lot of my videos, right? Like the formal response videos of the world, I script them out. And I wanted to make some videos that were totally unscripted. So I figured, why not? Let's do it. All right, I think we're getting the first map right about now.
Okay, so let me just get this up here, and we're gonna talk about this. D Machine. So D Machine was the first map in Black Ops Cold War, and I'm gonna be honest, it's not the greatest map of all time. I think it's pretty carried by Cold War's great mechanics, but very much a lackluster story on D Machine. It was the intro to this kind of dark ether story, and while some parts were cool and exciting, like seeing Orda outside, I'm gonna go ahead and have to give D Machine a average. It's an okay map. It's fun. It's enjoyable.
I kind of agree with that rating overall. I mean, just to add a couple things to it, the colors are very, very lackluster unless you're in the Dark Aether, which you're not for most of the game, unfortunately. Beyond that, the Dark Aether isn't very dynamic. All you really do in it are you go there for every Easter egg step, and then you get some crystals that you can destroy for a little tiny bit of extra gear, but it's nothing real special. The one thing I did like about it is I think it's an interesting stylistic touch to have started, or to have sort of kicked off the classic zombies storyline with Noct, and then to kick off this new story with Noct as well.
It's nothing,
but that doesn't really change the ranking at all. That's just a creative touch.
Next up, let's spin the cycle. We've got Eisendrache. Oh wow, we're really starting off strong here. Okay, Eisendrache. So you guys know, I mean, it's no secret that Eisendrache is in everybody's top 5, and if it's not in your top 5, you're literally wrong. Eisendrache, I would say, is just makes the S tier maps. I think it's very, very close, and we're actually going to be like literally ranking these like within the tiers where I think things are. I think Eisendrache makes the S tier. I mean, it's been talked about a billion times why it's one of the greatest zombie maps of all time. Story's good, environment's good, you know, the cutscene's good, the gameplay is phenomenal. Eisendrache is an S tier, and if you disagree at all, you're just trying to be edgy and cool, and you don't.
Not trying to be edgy and cool. Eisendrache is overrated. It uses the wonder weapon system that we're all too used to, which is 4 upgradable wonder weapons that all have different elements. It's kind of boring. It's kind of stale. It has been a recipe for success historically, but like, you know, when you get it with the die machines, you get it with let's take a quick look through the maps here. You get it on Origins, obviously. You get it on Eisendrache. You get it on D Machina. You know what? I'll go through it in order. In Black Ops 2, actually, you only get it on Origins. In BO2. In BO3, you get it on Eisendrache. Actually, you know what? I take that back. It's not super overused. I think it feels overused because you'll hear that I also think Origins is overrated. I'm not saying it's not a great map, and I would put it at the top tier as well, but I think it gets a little bit more hype than it deserves, especially when you stack it up against like some of the BO3 maps and the Chaos story. But Eisendrache is an overrated map, fundamentally. My biggest issue with the map is that it's too reliant on the wonder weapons. You see a lot of people rushing the bows immediately, and then you just never use your guns again, basically. Like, if you're out of ammo in your bow, you may as well be out of ammo in your regular gun, because a lot of it is so frenzied that you need the bow to protect yourself, like to give you that extra edge against the zombies. Not to mention the fact that the bows are Very, very poorly balanced. The storm bow, despite being nerfed 4 times, is still the strongest bow. The wolf bow is only good if everything's in a straight line. The void bow and the fire bow both have that issue where they don't kill anything for the first 30 seconds. Well, that's not true. They kind of fixed it with the void bow. The void bow at least explodes now. And the only one that's good against panzers for some reason is the fire one, which is actually a running theme as well. In Origins, the best one for panzer killing is the fire one. And in oh, wait a minute. Why did I already forget our other map? Man, this is why I don't do hot takes. This is why I prefer scripting things. Oh, in D Machina, the fire one literally does like 10 times damage to the megatons. So, like, you know, not only do the wonder weapons, not only are they repetitive, but they all fill literally the exact same roles that they do, you know, in all 3 games, and it's kind of disappointing. But let's move on.
All right, let's hit the lottery once again. We got Outbreak. Apparently, we're starting off with a lot of Cold War here. So, Outbreak. Now, Outbreak, I think, is probably the most, and I don't think this is like really even a debate, this is just a factual information. As far as Treyarch Zombie goes, it's the most out there thing that we have. It's not round based, it's so different from everything else. And I'm gonna be honest, it is my favorite thing to stream because it's so easy and you can actually relax and talk and interact and do other things while you're doing it. But in terms of actually how good it is, I think it's a little bit lackluster. I think there's not enough crazy.
I would actually give it a bad rating here. I generally agree with him. Actually, wait a minute. Let's listen to what he says first.
I think while there is like, you know, there's like 17 maps, there's like there's Easter eggs and stuff. It all feels very repetitive to me in the way that regular Zombies doesn't feel that way. And I think it's a bit lackluster. I think it's good, but it's missing some like special things and more events, more random stuff that can happen, and just I don't know, more objectives, something. I honestly don't know, but all in all,
I do know, and this is why I would rank the map bad. I know he's not Tim Hansen, and I know it's apparently kind of a meme. At least to the people who I talk to about my Zombies videos, it's kind of a meme that I rag on Tim more than anybody else. But I'm gonna say here, you don't know because you didn't think about it, buddy. It's not that hard. Outbreak was advertised as this open world Zombies experience. When you think open world games, you think Fallout 4, you think Skyrim, you know, you think pretty much Elder Scrolls and Fallout. Maybe there's another game you like, you know, maybe Outer Worlds, maybe No Man's Sky, but by and large, Fallout and Skyrim kind of dominate that category. And the thing that makes Fallout and Skyrim incredible, if you open up the map in Skyrim, there are sometimes you literally have to sit there and try for a couple of seconds or zoom all the way in to fast travel to the destination you actually want to hit because the map is so dense. It feels so alive. The world feels, you know, lived in. There are changes in density. There are old abandoned buildings with random enemies in them. There are bears in the woods. And none of that is in Outbreak. The least they could do is add something. Like, you know, if you walk into a grocery store, if you walk into a building, the zombie density increases. You know, there are more people in a grocery store than there are out in the middle of the forest at any given point in time, right? So, like, when you walk into society in Outbreak, the least they could do is make it a little more hectic. But I don't think it's Treyarch's fault. I think if they had an extra year to develop it, they would have had plenty of time to make the world really feel alive, to give it a chance to breathe, and then Outbreak would be a great game mode. Because if you look at it mechanically, it's incredible. The world is just a little boring. Like, it's the maps that are holding Outbreak back. It's not the actual gameplay. But moving on.
I think it's got to go lackluster for me, and that's just me personally. You guys might have different opinions. They may be wrong. That's fine. It's fine to have wrong opinions, but that's mine. So let's spin it again, and we're going to go ahead and rank. What do we got here? No, Kino Der Toten. I thought it was knocked for a second. Kino Der Toten. Now, I will say, I think Kino was massively overrated in a lot of people's stuff. Don't get me wrong. It's good, but Kino Der Toten, in my opinion, is like that one map that just goes, it gets put in everybody's top 10 for nostalgia reasons, but I really don't think it deserves as high a praise as it has. It's very innovative. Teleporter was really cool. A lot of really great storyline in it. But I'm just going to put it in the average category. And if you...
I totally disagree with Noah here. The only thing that I agree with is that the map is overrated. Excuse me. There are two things I have to say about this. The first one is pretty obvious. The entire setup of the map is hitting the box. There's nothing fun. There's no way to, like, interact with things. All you do is buy perks, hit the box, and survive. Which is a theme with a lot of the older maps, which leads straight into my second point. If I were ranking zombies, honestly, I would add an O category somewhere in here. It can be at the top or the bottom. It doesn't really matter. Just for old maps. In World at War, zombies was literally an afterthought. It was the campaign bonus mode. It wasn't supposed to be anything special. There wasn't a lot of development time put into it, and you can see that. In Black Ops 1, they decided to bring it back, but there still wasn't that much to it. Like, it hadn't sort of, hit the peak at Origins yet. I do think that Kino and Ascension were two maps that really contributed to zombies becoming a staple of Treyarch games, along with Moon. Actually, I think Black Ops 1 had a pretty interesting map lineup overall. But the maps are old. They were made on old consoles. They were made for old technology, and I hate to say it, but at some point you just can't rank them next to the new maps, because if you look at every map from World at War to the end of Black Ops 1, I think the only... No, Moon doesn't even have a setup. You get no setup. All you get in Black Ops 1 and World at War is hitting the box and surviving, which I understand is the core of zombies, but it's also the most boring way to play zombies, right? It's why, like, Revelations, whenever we get there, Revelations goes in the painful tier for me. I know it looks beautiful, but if you don't have fire sales, you spend the first 20 rounds just hitting the box, hoping you get the wonder weapons so that you can do something. And I think that, sort of because of that and because of their age, you need to rank them against each other. Like, you need to consider sort of Black Ops 1 and World at War in the same vein. And then I think you can put Black Ops 2 with the rest, because that's when you start developing, like, power, when you start developing actual side quests. Like, if you look at Transit, there are buildables, there's running around the map. There are actually some things that you need to do to interact with the game to make progress. And they may be very annoying things, but they're still things to do. And that's a very, very key point to reach later on.
If you disagree with me, just be honest with yourself. Talk to me right now. When was the last time that you booted up Kino or Token? Be honest with yourself. And unless it was pretty recently and you still actively play zombies, then sit your ass down and let's respect the fact that Kino or Toten is C tier map. It's average. And again, I'm going more off these average things rather than the actual, rankings that I put them. But I put it in C. So here we go. All right, round and round we go. Where it stops, no one knows. We have Revelations. Now, Revelations, I am very, very biased to maps that have Easter eggs because I love Easter eggs. I love completing them. I love doing them. I love everything about them. And for that reason, and pretty much that reason only, and just how much innovative stuff and like time trials, all this really cool stuff that they put into Revelations, and also the story of it, I'm gonna have to put it as a good tier map. I will put it above Kino or Toten, and I was gonna do this one thing. Kino is actually above.
Revelations is a terrible map. I think Revelations is the first map we see in zombies that truly makes every mistake that you can make. I love the Easter egg. I'll play the Easter egg, and I agree with Noah fundamentally that if a map has an Easter egg, it's better. That's why I'm excluding Black Ops 1 and World at War from my personal rating, because I don't think that they're actually worth rating. On that note, you know what? Let's actually just nope. Get back here, buddy. Let's actually just Well, that didn't work. Let's see. Did he leave a link to it? No. Alright. Guess we're not doing that on second thought. Actually, you know what? We can do it. I'll work on it on the side, and we'll see if I can find it. I will try to do my own zombies ranking here, too, because, honestly, why not? But anyways, as I was saying earlier, I believe Revelations is a terrible map. It's got an Easter egg. It's got, you know, a couple cool wonder weapons on it. It's fun to mess around with. The issue is it is so elixir dependent. It is gum dependent. It is so dependent on the consumables in the game. It's ridiculous. Like I said earlier, if you don't have fire sales, you're like, I've hit the box 100 times before I have both wonder weapons. You know, like how can you do that without fire sales? I don't think it's reasonable at all. And there's no way to get any of the wonder weapons for free. Like, the map does not give you any help getting everything that you need, especially because, well, only one wonder weapon is needed for the Easter egg, but one is highly recommended, and you're dependent on the box to get it. Really? Like, it's not an old map. Like, if it was a Black Ops 1 map, I'd be like, okay, fine, they don't have anything anywhere outside the box. But it's a Black Ops 3 map. We have wonder weapon quests, we have free wonder weapon Easter eggs, and the same thing happened on Garad Krovi, and I don't know why. Like, it doesn't make any sense why you would put a wonder weapon in the mystery box when, like, you've got the KT4 quest, when you've got the Apothecant Servant build, when you've got, you know, even the jet gun in Black Ops 2, you've got the Sliquifier. Like, it just doesn't, the only reason I don't mention Buried here is because you could abuse the time bomb to, basically double your box hits. So, like, there's not any sort of big issue with it. But seriously, Revelations is a painful map unless you use those paid elixirs, which are those paid gums, which I think it's totally unfair to rank a map assuming that you have paid content, because not everybody has access to that content.
A lot of stuff wrong with it, but really fun wonder weapons, fun round 100, and I mean, Black Ops 3, it's basically a W if it exists on Black Ops 3. All right, next up, let's see if we can get a non-Treyarch here. What do we get? 5. Okay, so 5. Are we talking? So we're talking about the remake, I guess. I guess I can kind of rank both of these together. I'm not sure if they have both of them down here, but we'll go ahead and rank it together. All in all, I have almost negative fun playing this map. It was fun every once in a while, but I'm gonna be honest, 5 is one of those maps where it is just frustrating more than anything else to play. I don't find it very fun. I think it's massively overrated. I'm gonna put it in D tier, lackluster. I would rather play Outbreak than 5, and a lot of these are just based off how much fun and how willing I am to actually boot up those maps. It's a D tier map. I'm sorry if you disagree. BO4 version, regular version, doesn't matter. D tier map. Let's move on. All right, so what do we got next?
All right, we're talking about 5. I actually didn't play 5 all that much, I'm going to be honest. But the Pentagon Thief is super fun. I think it's hilarious. I loved the concept. And I wish that it came back. Also, we're gonna go ahead and throw all of the Chronicles remasters with the old maps, because they are the old maps, just because you put them in a new game. Like, if they're fundamentally the same map, then why not? Let's actually move this list to the bottom, because it's gonna take up a very large chunk of space just because of how big these images are. Call of the Dead was Black Ops 1, Nocturne Toten was World at War, Der Reis was World at War, The Giant is Der Reis, Tag is BO3. But yeah, no, I genuinely don't believe that Almost put Town in because it's such a simple map. I have nostalgia. Like, I am in love with Town for the sake of nostalgia. I know it's not actually a good map. But let's see. Did I get everything? Shang goes up here. Shino goes up here. Moon goes up here. Moon goes up here. Well, we probably forgot one. It's okay. I'll get back to it. So which maps have we done so far with Noah? Can I please? All right. One issue with having a billion monitors is that every time you try to like spread them, it just doesn't work out. Do I even have Outbreak on here? I might not have Outbreak. Oh, there it is. D tier for Outbreak. 5 doesn't go there. Town doesn't go there. D Machina does go in average. Revelations goes in F tier. Unfortunately, I think it was really close to being a good map. Der Eisendrache goes in A tier for me at least. And let me see. Groston House, what a meme, dude. I wouldn't even consider Groston House an actual map. Oh, you know what? I'm also gonna add a new row. Can I just drag this? No. I'm gonna add a row for inexperienced as well. Just because there are some maps that we'll get to that I have literally never played, and I can't rank them fairly. Kino goes right there. Alright, we're gonna keep going.
Next, we got Town.
We'll see if we can catch up.
We do have like literally every single one. Now, as far as all of the mini maps from BO2 go, Town is the best one. I think everyone would agree with that. If you don't agree with that, I don't know what's wrong with you. But putting Town this is definitely going to be above like Farm and everything like that. I think Town is probably, for what it was and how much fun it is to just get that sniper rifle and go off on headshots, I'm going to put Town in a B tier map. I'm going to put it as a good map. It is a lot of fun and it's very, very quick. And it was...
I'm going to sound like a broken record by the end of this. Town is going to go in D tier. Because of nostalgia, purely because of nostalgia. Actually, wait a minute. No, it's gonna go in F tier because I'm rating this objectively. I'm not gonna do the nostalgia thing. The setup is box, and your options are run in a circle until you run out of ray gun ammo and die, and points, or sit in a corner. Now, it was fun to play with your friends. This was the zombies map. I think this zombies map actually helped zombies more than any other map. I think this map may be the most helpful map to zombies growing. Purely because it was so easy to play. Like, this was the only map that I played when I was like 11, 12, 13, when BO2 had just come out. Like, Town was the map that got me into zombies. Like, Town was the map that saw me going over to my friend's house every weekend to play zombies with them. Because my dad wouldn't let me have Call of Duty because he read that news article about the kids who played Call of Duty trying to join the military, and he didn't want me to join the military. Joke's on him. Look at me now. I'm sitting in front of a camera talking to myself. But Town is objectively a horrible map, but I think it did very important things for Call of Duty.
If Transit was all like Town was, it would be a great map, but... you know, unfortunately it wasn't. So I'm going to put Town there. Yes, I understand it's above Kino to Toten, and that is for good reason. I've had way more good times on Town than I have on any of these other maps. I'm going to be completely real. We got Reis. Okay, here's a big one, because a lot of people, they do this. They put Reis and Kino to Toten wherever they put it, usually up here on like A or B tier or S tier. Reis and Kino to Toten are always next to each other. I think Reis is massively, the giant version, the regular version, everything.
We're just gonna mute him. You already know what I'm gonna say about this map. It's the same thing I say every time. If the setup of a map is hit the box and hope you get something good, it's fundamentally a boring map. Reis was, however, important to Call of Duty. Reis was the map that introduced Pack-a-Punch. And that's a huge deal. Did Reis introduce perks? I don't think Reis introduced perks. No, it didn't. But, It is very important. Now we're getting onto
Now, I
Shaolin.
actually feel like I can give a pretty good like assessment on this because I played this a couple months ago with Mr. T Lexify, and I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit biased to how terrible the systems are in Infinite Warfare in terms of connection, playing with each other and stuff. Challenge Shuffle was straight painful. It had some good ideas, but with the connection, with how difficult the Easter egg is, and how like much attention you have to pay, you can't just kill zombies and have fun. You have to be on top of your game. Challenge Shuffle is a
This is all good feedback because I've never played Challenge Shuffle. I was not a big fan of Infinite Warfare. I actually didn't get any of the DLC. I still haven't. If you guys want to see first impressions on the DLC, go ahead and tell me. I can review the DLC maps for the game. I'll go back and play it. I'll buy them. I don't care. I just have never played it. But the important thing about Challenge Shuffle that I will say, I've watched a lot of gameplay of it, right? I've watched a lot of especially Steve's gameplay, so like the high round stuff. I could tell you I would probably rate this map pretty low because the second thing you'll see me hound on, the first one is box setup, which Challenge Shuffle didn't seem to have a problem with from the gameplay I recall watching. The second thing is enemy spam. If you spam enemies to artificially increase the difficulty of the map, it is instantly a terrible map in my mind. That's one of the issues with Revelations. There were, 6 types of special enemies, and they could all come at the same time? Like, that doesn't... Aside from the fact that it makes getting the God Mask easy, that's stupid. The good thing about Revelations, the saving grace, and the reason I don't mention it for why the map is so bad, is because the Wonder Weapons were so overpowered that it didn't matter. Because, you could clear... If you had 9 Margwas in a line, 2 Thundergun shots would take off 1 head of all of them. So, you didn't really... The heavy enemy spam wasn't as bad on that map because you had the crutches of the Wonder Weapons, which leads to why needing Gobblegums to get them is such a big problem. But we're going to keep going.
Still, I think Mauer is still pretty early to call anything, right? I think Mauer Dertone's a pretty difficult one to rank, and it is definitely, I say, the absolute best out of Cold War that we've gotten so far. Now, on gameplay alone, I think Mauer Dertone's pretty up there, Easter egg alone, but for me, not having the core 4 operators or just 4 players that actually have good quotes and stuff, it's gonna bring this storyline and replayability and memorability aspect a lot down for me. Like, I mean, a lot. I really like it. I think that's the one thing that Cold War, the maps just don't have that oomph that the old ones used to have, where you feel like something's actually happening every map and there's like ambiance and more story and stuff. And I understand there's intel and everything, but for the map itself, I'm going to put it as a good map. I'm gonna put it above town, behind Reis. It's gonna go right there, slot right in. I think it's a good map. I think they're
Alright, time to talk about Mauer. Let's find it. Mauer for me is going to be an A-tier map ahead of Der Eisendrache. I would put it at S-tier, but there are a couple of... So, I think Mauer is an incredible map. Mauer has all the color that I wanted. It's a little bit dark, but that's okay. It's atmospheric. It feels good to play. It's the first map in Cold War that, I could just look at it for a long time to play it, right? Now, I will admit, it gets a little bit boring running rounds, but that's an issue with Cold War because basically, if you set up your gear properly, and I can actually I can make a video on my gear setup on every map because I do it the same every game. If you set up your gear right, you're basically unkillable until round 30 unless you mess up big time, like really big time. But the positives about Mauer, the Wonder Weapon is genius. I can't stress this enough. It is the most innovative. There's so much innovation behind the Wonder Weapon. It flows so smoothly. It goes incredibly well with the gameplay of the map. Picking up the mods and then running out of ammo and you just go back to the pistol feels so nice. Like having that level of longevity where if you want to save the Wonder Weapon, you save the last shot. Or you can just get rid of it, go back to the base one, without even, seamlessly. It's not even like you have to go, into anti-grav and swap out bows. You don't have to go under Pack-a-Punch and swap out a staff. All you have to do is shoot it, and then you can keep shooting it in whatever form you want. It's awesome. It makes everything go so smoothly. I love it. The mini bosses, since they've been toned down, have been fine. Although, honestly, I thought it was kind of fun because, where normally I'm against chaos in Cold War with all the perks that you can get, there's a little bit of room for some chaos. Like, the ammo mods are very powerful. You have elemental weaknesses. You have, 8, 9 perks. You've got armor. You've got field upgrades. All of that stuff, I think, gives way to, like if you had as many Manglers in Garad Krovi as you have in Firebase Z, as an example, it would be a nightmare. It would be almost unplayable. But because of Cold War's system, the number of Manglers in Firebase Z, I think, is totally manageable. So, and it's a little bit more fun when you've got all that stuff sort of acting together, but, like before and after it was fine. The train is a nice little mechanic, a new way to kill zombies, and a new way to die. I think it's funny. I've died to the train a couple more times than I'd like to admit, but still. But no, overall, I think the map is excellent. Atmosphere is good. Wonder Weapon is awesome. Oh, the only other thing I really wanted to touch base on, the Easter egg boss having a regen move, they didn't implement it very well. If you don't have enough damage to kill the mini boss or to kill the zombies she calls up fast enough, right? Like, I was in a public lobby and they rushed the Easter egg. We ended up in the mini boss on like round 35, but only one of us had the Wonder Weapon, and we just couldn't kill her fast enough. She would sit in front of our faces and regenerate, and it felt terrible, and we eventually died. Because if it's a battle of attrition, we lose it because she has infinite regen as long as you have bad enough RNG. So the two things that drag this map down from S tier are the boss and what I mentioned earlier. But aside from that, it's a very, very good map.
That it's missing that little bit of that we wish it had, and I think you all kind of know what I'm saying with that. And I mean, it's the gameplay really that carries it that hard, because it's the Wonder Weapon's incredible. Chef's kiss. All right, next up, round and round she goes. We've got Awakening. Now, you guys might notice, I'm gonna put it right here just for the meantime. You guys might notice I have a YouTube tab right here. That's because, I'm gonna be honest, I need to watch the trailers for some of these old Extinction maps again, because I don't remember anything. So this is an intro cutscene that I uploaded. What in the world was this?
From me.
Same as everyone else. I want to make a deal.
Monka Omega? Okay, let's find some actual gameplay.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Patrick here, and today I'm bringing you my
Old Pat, dude. 10K views. This is Old Pat here. All right, let's look at what actually the map looks like. Oh, yeah.
It's Awakening.
This. I need to go back, and I really want to play through Extinction all over
Okay,
again.
I started playing through Extinction, but I never finished it.
I remember this. Okay, this is gonna give me what I need in order to actually.
I haven't played Awakening though. I don't think I've actually played it.
So Awakening,
so I can't review
one
it.
of the more interesting maps in Extinction. It's where the story, I feel like, actually had some like meaningful stuff. I remember like just learning about the aliens and stuff like that was always
All right.
one of the best parts.
Yeah, no, I haven't played, just to fill everybody in, I haven't played most of the Ghost maps, most of the Infinite Warfare maps, most of the World War II maps. So I can actually do first impressions on all of those. I can go back and play them all properly, if everybody's interested in it, but for now, just know that I haven't played them, so if we come to them, I'll probably not be ranking them, or I'll be clarifying that it's based on what I've heard or seen from other people, and not my own personal experience.
My book. Ascension is a lot of fun, a lot of really cool concepts, a lot of lore, a lot of Easter eggs and stuff like that. I'm gonna go ahead and put it into the average category. I think Ascension is really actually pretty good, but being fair.
Ascension, I think, was a very strong map, especially for Black Ops 1, because it was still pretty box reliant in terms of the setup. But the monkeys created a whole new level of strategy, right? The monkeys, they just kind of added this whole new dynamic of do I want to buy this perk? Can I defend this perk? What can I do? And some people may think it's a little bit stupid, but I think it was the beginning of that evolution that you see in Black Ops 2. It was the first steps towards having big main Easter eggs, towards having buildable wonder weapons. That was kind of the baby step in terms of development in that direction, and I think it was an incredibly important step, and I think it was a really fun step too, although it's kind of ironic that you get a free perk bottle for defending the monkeys, and then they come and take the perk away next time because you can't defend that perk machine because you got stamina up and it's in the middle of nowhere.
Like, have a good time. So I'm gonna put Moon here. I'm gonna put Moon above Reis, and I think depending on the situation, Reis could go higher, but I'm gonna...
The astronaut was another one of those mechanics. Like, if you look at Black Ops 1, right? Actually, let's pause the video for a sec. If you look at the Black Ops 1 maps, right? You've got... I'll just throw them here. You've got Moon. You've got Shang. You've got 5. You've got... where's Kino? Ascension and Kino are the 5 maps in BO1. In Kino, you have nothing. That was the first map. In 5, you had the Pentagon Thief, which was awesome. Pentagon Thief, I think, was a lot of fun. And it was the beginning of that sort of experimental period where they tried different enemy types. Oh, you also had Call of the Dead. Call of the Dead is going to be relevant to this conversation, right? So you've got... I forget what the order for the DLCs is. BO1 zombie map. Knocked Rakshino, Reis, Kino, Ascension, Call of the Dead, Shangri-La, Moon. Okay. So basically what you've got is after Kino, Ascension, so they start messing with your perks in this map, right? Which is, you know, potentially interesting, maybe not. Call of the Dead is George Romero, where they give you an actual enemy to face outside the zombies. They give you, you know, sort of an in-map obstacle roaming around that can potentially hurt you if you're not careful. And so you have to sort of micromanage his location in addition to the zombies. You want to try not to make him angry, and you need to get him into the water to calm him down. Then you have Shang, where the monkeys give you perks. So instead of the negativity, they try, you know, instead of taking stuff away like they have in the past, they try the extra perk bottles. People love it. So you see perk bottles come back in quite a few maps after that. And in Moon, you've got the astronaut, once again, takes away perks. But I believe if you kill the astronaut, you get a perk bottle. Is that right? That might only be a BO3 thing. I think it was a BO3 thing, though. I don't have the best memory of Moon either. Suffice to say that, like, you see in BO1, you see this real experimentation with extra mechanics that continues to shine through in BO2, especially in BO3 and BO4. Not with the main Easter eggs, but with the side Easter eggs. Like, you see an extra perk bottle here or there. You see, you know, the unlockable bank. Like, you see all these little rewards that are unlocked via side Easter eggs, and you see all these extra touches that enemies have. Like the Avogadro can disable your jug, right? Like that's that's kind of a classic one where you get just that little bit of extra, that extra spice of life to the game that was experimented with in Black Ops 1. So Black Ops 1 maps were incredibly important, but again, I think they're too old to rank up against the new maps. If you want me to rank them independently, I will.
Like I said, I am partial to Easter eggs, so I love Easter eggs. But Voyage is one of those maps that makes Easter egging a chore. It is the example of, in my opinion, how not to do an Easter egg. It is one of the least enjoyable Easter eggs to do out of all the Treyarch maps. So I'm going to go ahead and put it down here in lackluster. Now, I do think it is better than a 5. I think Outbreak could be said to go higher than it, but I think I'm going to put it right in front of Outbreak in terms of what I actually enjoy doing, what I actually enjoy playing. Voyage.
All right. Voyage of Despair is the first Chaos map. We saw it in the pre-launch trailers. It was the map where you place down the Staff of Ra and you teleport to another map. Unfortunately, it didn't live up to that legacy, but Voyage is still an incredible map. If you know Norse mythology, you know just how in-depth Voyage is. They did their homework and they did a fucking good job of it too. They kind of explored, you know, using other historical ties. The map felt awesome. It felt like I would imagine the Titanic with, you know, big open, like there was the big open dining room, there was the huge grand staircase, but then you start getting into the sort of maintenance rooms, you get into where the people slept, and it's a lot more difficult to to create space for yourself. It kind of gives that map a cluttered feel, which a lot of people can't deal with. But I'm here to tell you, if you use shotguns, it's fine. It's fun. Actually, no, I'm going to bump Voyage down to a D tier map because of enemy spam. This is where they introduced catalysts, and the spawns aren't balanced at all. Unless you're doing the Easter egg, you get basically no catalyst before round 16, and after round 16, whoo boy. It's a catalyst everywhere you look. You turn around, there's a fire zombie blowing up. You turn back around, there's an ice zombie making everything blue. It's kind of nightmarish, but Voyage, nevertheless, is honestly, I think, not too terrible a map. It's bad in terms of BO4 maps, but again, that's only because of enemy spam, and this map does have a free Wonder Weapon Easter egg. Not a lot of people do it because the Wonder Weapon's easy enough to get from the box, but it does have a free Wonder Weapon Easter egg, so that doesn't get counted against it. And Voyage is also a map where you really see that life I was talking about from BO1 shine through, those small touches. Voyage is the first map where the alternate ammo types impact zombies differently, right? If you hit the ice zombies with electricity, if you hit the electric zombies with brain rot, if you hit the poison zombies with firebomb, if you hit the poison zombies with cryo freeze, the electric zombies with firebomb. You know what? Just Google it. I can't remember, but basically the alternate ammo types create catalytic explosions when they interact with certain zombies, and it really does help controlling the hordes. But still, Voyage.
Very, very
the Easter egg, though, I definitely agree. I definitely agree the Easter egg is a little bit of a nightmare. The planet step in specific is horrible in solo.
Cool, so stuff like that is going to keep it in lackluster. Let's go next. All right, we got Reis. Now, Reis, BO2, they were starting to get a little bit better hang of the Easter eggs, and Reis has a lot of really, really good moments, and I would probably end up putting this higher than on Voyage of Despair and Outbreak for sure. I would go as far as to put it into the back half of the average maps, but this discussion has been had before. I've talked about this before. Reis with proper connection, good mechanics, and a little bit like crisper gameplay, like basically a remastered version of Reis, I think could even be up here in the good tier. But we don't have that. We only have the base version, which is laggy, you know, not fun to play when you just lag off the side of a cliff and die. Very glitchy. So in its current form, Reis is back half of average, man. It's
Reis was my favorite map in BO2 when I was younger. I really want to rate it better because of nostalgia, but the best I think I can do, actually, you know what? It's going to be bottom of the B tier. Here's the deal with this map. You've got a buildable wonder weapon, so it's not box reliant. You have a lot of mobility, which is super fun. You have the jumping jacks, which fit the map perfectly. Right? You've got all this verticality, all this moving around. You even launch yourself between buildings. It makes so much sense to put the jumping jacks here. A couple of bad things, though. Elevator RNG is never fun. The fridge kind of broke the meta. Getting crushed under elevators is not very fun. And the only way, there wasn't enough, I don't think there was enough connectivity between the two buildings. Like, you had a buildable to get back and forth, yes. But outside of that buildable, there wasn't really that much to do. There wasn't anything super special going on. And there wasn't anything super special going on with like fast travel. Whereas if you look at like you know what, we're actually gonna let him talk a little bit, just mute him. But the issue that I had was that the buildings weren't connected enough. It was a little bit difficult to get between some of the floors, whereas, you know, in a lot of newer maps like in Mauert or Toten, despite the fact that we have that same sort of verticality coming back again, which they experimented with in Reis, and I thought they did a really good job with, it's like kind of mastered in Mauer, right? So I'm actually kind of hoping that they do a remaster of Reis the same way they did Blood of the Dead, because I think that you would see an excellent map out of Reis if it had that little bit of extra connectivity, like a couple of zip lines, just something to make it easier to get back and forth between some of the floors. The reason that we're skipping over these maps, by the way, which map did he just rate? I don't even, hang on. What does that even say? Exodus? I have not played Exodus, if that's what that even says. Let's see if we can find a map named Exodus. That picture's really bad. I don't see it, so I'm just gonna assume it's not there. And ooh, what did he rated Darkest Shore? I've never played Darkest Shore. I've heard the Easter egg is a nightmare, but never played it. And now we're gonna queue back in for Descent.
Is some of the most fun times that I think I have nostalgia-wise, even over some of these maps. I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this. But between the Wonder Weapon, the Blunderbuss, dude, Descent was an actively very, very fun time for me. I'm gonna put Descent. This is gonna be the most controversial one so far because I know how people feel about Exo Zombies. I'm going to put Descent into a great map category. Now, I think it's gonna end up toward the back half of great, but Descent, in my opinion, is a low-key banger of a map. Go back and play it. I promise you will not have a bad time. Exo Zombies.
All right. Fundamentally, I agree. I hate to say it, but I was another big fan of Exo Zombies. I had a lot of fun with it. The only issue I have is, like, looking at this tier list, right? I'm not going to put it above Die Rise. I'm not going to put it above D Machine. I'm not going to put it, like, I think the best I could do is, like, right there, maybe. Because Exo Zombies had one problem. Well, one major problem in the EMP zombies. So they gave you this advanced mobility, they gave you this super fun game mechanic, and then they spammed enemies that took it away. I don't know why they had to do that, but they did. Descent was still among the best Exo Zombies maps, though. Like, I think Descent and Outbreak were the two best Exo Zombies, or not Descent. Is it even? It's called. Isn't it called Outbreak? Where is it? Ascension is the BO1 map. All right, you know, we're just gonna keep going.
Was just absolutely crapped on for no reason. Let's keep it going. All right, I feel like we're chunking through a lot of stuff here. What do we? Zombies in Spaceland. IW Zombies. So Challenge Shuffle was awarded the very first painful award here, down here. Zombies in Spaceland is just a masterpiece, man. I feel like it really was the best iteration of Infinite Warfare Zombies, and everything else, unfortunately, went kind of downhill. I'm going to put Zombies in Spaceland as a great map. I'm going to put it actually behind Descent because I really do believe in Descent's design, the way that the Easter egg is, everything like that. Zombies in Spaceland is a great map, though, and I think it was the perfect intro to the Willard Wyler storyline. Unfortunately, I think it was the best iteration that they had for the entire thing, but it deserves the great.
Zombies in Spaceland is a beautiful map. I agree. It was in a terrible game, but it's a beautiful map. It's well done. I should go back and play it again, actually. I know it's really fun. The the Easter egg was a little bit obscure to me. I remember not really liking a couple of the steps, like having to wear the sunglasses everywhere and shoot a bunch of random shit. But for the most part, I loved it. And the boss fight looked incredible. I don't think I actually did the Easter egg. At least I don't recall doing the Easter egg. But no, the map was definitely better than I think most people would give it credit for. And if there was any map that I would recommend going back and replaying with a critical lens, and I might even do it myself, it would be Zombies in Spaceland.
It's fun, man. It really, really does. Go back and play it. Oh, chef's kiss as well, man. We're getting some good maps here. And we got Zetsubu no Shima. Okay, so BO3, man, BO3, I'm so partial to the gameplay on it, but Zetsubo really just had very, very little going for it, man. There's Easter egg, tedious, not very, very fun to do with the watering plants. It basically was like gardening simulator. Spider Bomb.
Alright. He's going on and on about nothing again. Zetsubu is an incredible map. He's just mad that it's a little bit difficult, because it is. It might be the most difficult map Treyarch's ever released, and it might be up there for the most difficult maps of all time. Zetsubu no Shima did so much right, though. Zetsubu no Shima had an awesome wonder weapon, the KT4, and by extension the Masamune. The wonder weapon, the creativity in the wonder weapon didn't come from its mobility like the one on, it didn't come from mobility, right? Like the, Mauer, like the Mauer wonder weapon did. It came from the map. Like, the interesting thing about Zetsubu is how dynamic it is, from the fact that once you start the Easter egg, you can optimize it however you want. You can do it like you can do the electric shield right off the bat and then get 2 cogs and then teleport into the room. You can teleport into the room and then do the like you can do the Easter egg however you want, and that makes it really fun, especially for somebody like me who wants to try to optimize it. By the way, the lowest round I've completed the Zetsubu Easter egg on is round 9. I think I was using megas for that, but still. It's really fun doing like lowest round on Zetsubu, because of how heavily you can optimize it. The wonder weapon is excellent. The underwater portion isn't too overbearing, which is good because the underwater in Black Ops 3 was kind of a mess. And the wonder weapon interacting with the map is hugely important because the mini boss on the map comes from you not interacting with the map. Like, the map itself encourages mobility. It encourages you to look around and see it. You get a speed boost when you use the KT4 on the red pods, and it stops Thrashers from spawning. What more could you ask for? The spiders are a little annoying, I'll give it that. Like, it's true, the spiders are kind of a pain in the backside. But the pods kill them, the KT4 bolt insta-kills them, they have pretty low health overall. You get some backstory for where Widow's Wine came from. The spider mini-boss fight is such a blast. It's one of the things, I'm kind of a sucker for, like, little interruptions in the normal gameplay, right? Like, obviously you do an Easter egg, you get a boss fight, and that's a big interruption, and then you get a cutscene, and you either get to go back to the game or the game ends. But those sort of mini interruptions in the game, like the spider boss fight, like in Revelations, the first boss fight, honestly, not like dog rounds. Like, it needs to be a little bit more than just a dog round for me. But like in the Apothecon on Revelations, when the gas comes up and then a couple mini bosses spawn, like things that kind of make you change your gameplay a little bit, just for a little. I think they're awesome, and you know, the dynamic way that you interact with Thrashers on that map is amazing. Spider bait is a get out of jail free card. Can't complain about that. It's a super cool Easter egg as well. If you haven't done it, I highly recommend it. I have a video that tells you how to do it. Go check it out. And the forgotten Easter egg, the one that nobody does. It's such a shame. The friendly Thrasher. It's one of the only maps in the game where you can actually hire a Thrasher to do your killing for you for a little bit. It's super fun. Another thing I loved, I think Zetsubu was the first kind of big labyrinthian map that Treyarch made. And to counteract that, the Thrashers pick up downed people. Like, the way I think about it is a Thrasher picks up a downed person and then it starts tracking another person, right? Which means that the Thrasher is carrying a downed person to a teammate. It's a little bit of a gamble, obviously, because if you can't kill the Thrasher quick enough, then you and your teammate are dead. But assuming you kill the Thrasher is just giving you your teammate for a free revive. Like, it's the interesting little side bits like that I think make Zetsubu such a great map. And that make it actually one of my top 3 maps of all time.
Darkest Shore, Zetsubu no Shima, Voyage of Despair is definitely my order of what I would want to play in those 3. So I feel pretty good about this. Still above Outbreak, yes. I feel like I'm doing Outbreak really dirty, but hey, what can I say, man? This is just my knee-jerk reactions, best opinions that I can give about these things at this current time. And we got the Frozen done. Boy, oh boy, have I been waiting for this map. Okay, fun story about the Frozen Dawn. I covered all of World War II Zombies. You can go back. I was getting pretty good views on World War II Zombies.
I'm glad that he covered World War II Zombies, because I sure didn't. I didn't play the game beyond the first map. Although I will say that the specialist system in that game, I think it was awesome. Like, I think that game and Ghosts did specialists so right. And I like the way that Treyarch is handling it in Cold War with the tiers. I wish they were a little bit more diverse and a little bit more impactful, though. The issue I find with the specialists in Cold War is that a lot of them are kind of like you can use Aether Shroud to pick people up or save yourself. You can use Healing Aura to pick people up or save yourself. You can use Frenzied Guard to pick people up or save yourself. You can use you can use Frost Blast to pick people up or save yourself. You use Energy Mine to deal damage. You use Bush to deal damage. You use Ring of Fire to deal damage. So, you know, I have that kind of issue with the specialists where, despite their upgrades even, they all kind of do the same thing at the end of the day. Whereas, like, in World War II, the way you customized it, it let you actually significantly change their impacts on the game. And you, like, the way that you spec'd kind of forced you to pick a path and stick with it at the very least initially. Which I thought was awesome. Like, I like when the player has to make a choice and stick to it. I don't think it's as fun when, you know, it's so easy to get the tier 1, 2, and 3 crystals that, like, you can have all of your field upgrades in a usable state within, like, your first 5 or 6 games. But that's just me. I think that's nothing really special. But again, I'm just kind of talking through the World War II maps here for the most part, because the only ones I've played are Groston House, which was the tutorial, and the Final Reich, which was the free map. So I figure, you know, why not talk about some other stuff, some other mechanics that I like or don't like in the meantime. But some mechanics, by the way, the very important thing about, like, the mechanics I'm talking about with Cold War right now are that they're not map specific, so you can't really count them for or against any map. They're just, it's overall game criticism. But we're tuning back in now.
No one plays farm. Go play town. It's 10 times better. It's gonna be back a bad tier. Yeah, that's it.
I agree.
All right, so next up we got Bus Depot. Okay, so Bus Depot. I mean,
farm is a simple map. The whole setup is hitbox. You know, same issue as town, but it's a little bit smaller. It's a little bit more claustrophobic. On transit, I think farm really shines. I think farm is so much better on transit, but it's just not very good as a standalone map. Like, town is the best of the standalone maps, and I think town is actually the worst map on transit. But ironically, but you know, I guess we'll get there when we get there, right?
Just doing these back to back. Bus Depot better than farm. It's hard to put it behind Awakening, but I think that's where it goes. Bus Depot, farm. There's small maps that just aren't as much fun.
Bus Depot was super simple.
What it is. Small maps minus.
Bus Depot was super simple, hitbox to survive, which I know some people like. I don't. Nothing really fun. Oh god, I just hit the next video. Okay, good. It saved our spot.
Maps. Now we're gonna get into some debates about the best maps. I immediately. Not a question in my mind. It goes in S tier. The question is, where does it go in terms of Der Eisendrache? Does it go behind? Does it go in front?
We're going to listen to what Noah says here, but I have my own opinion, and and he's not changing it.
Better than Der Eisendrache. And I think my opinion of that has changed over the years. I used to say Der Eisendrache was my favorite zombie map of all time. But I think, A, the speed runs, and B, how much I speed ran, and C, the amount of tricks and cool stuff you can do in Shadows of Evil that is not possible in any other zombie map, like frame perfect jumps, jumping over walls. I think based on how much the community has innovated this map in terms of what you can do to beat the Easter egg quickly, Shadows of Evil is the greatest zombie map maybe of all time. And we have one more discussion that I think you guys are waiting for when it comes up. But Shadows of Evil, in my opinion, is better map than Der Eisendrache. Are they both amazing? Yes. Shadows of Evil, better than Der Eisendrache. Literally just go watch the Easter egg world record speedrun and tell me otherwise. It's
He's so right. He's so right. The Easter egg is, or the speedrun is incredible. If you want to see some of those tricks he's talking about pulled off, go watch my setup guide. I do a couple of them. I should probably start speedrunning Shadows of Evil. I'm very good at the map. Shadows of Evil is a map that a lot of people consider hard, though. It's a map that a lot of people struggled with because they thought it was too hard. It wasn't worth setting up or something like that. I disagree. If you take a little bit to learn it, there are huge optimizations you can make. There are so many different paths you can take to set it up. Like, there are varying levels of risk because there are so many different ways. There are a couple of tricks that let you skip around if you hit them. There are a couple of tricks that are just like swag because you can do them. Like, there are safer ways to do them. It introduced the Apothecon. It had a buildable wonder weapon. It had a buildable shield, so no issues with spamming box. The Apothecon is an awesome wonder weapon. The Apothecon is... Oh, God. This is something people will hate me for, but it might be my favorite wonder weapon in all of zombies. The only other one I can think of is the Sliquifier. But the reason that I love the Apothecon is because I think it does exactly what a wonder weapon does. Or what a wonder weapon should do. It lets you bail yourself out of situations, but only a couple times. It doesn't make you invincible like the old upgraded one did, like Winter's Wail does, like Dying Wish does, like pulling out a specialist in BO4 does, like pulling out a specialist in Cold War does. It doesn't just make you invincible, but it gives you that little extra oomph you need, that little extra sort of bit of confidence to go take some risks, right? To go have fun. Like, I've trained almost everywhere on that map. I've trained in front of the perk machine in Footlight on that map. I have trained, you know, in front of the build table in Waterfront on that map. I've, you know, the high round speed runs literally train in the perk room in the Canal District, right? Like, you can run anywhere on the map if you have the specialist, because it gives you that little bit of extra confidence, but because of the limit on shots, you still need to be careful. You can't just use it like willy-nilly. The sword is pretty easy to pick up. The sword is really powerful. You can put it away and shoot other guns while it's out. The Civil Protector insta-kills Margwas. The Civil Protector picks up players. Like, I think Shadows of Oh, we haven't even gotten to the Atmosphere yet. I can't believe I almost forgot to mention it. The Atmosphere is incredible. The monorails, the sort of dark vibes, but it's not dingy. It's like, it's kind of like a haze. Like, the atmosphere on the map is kind of evil the whole way through, like even up to the Shadow Man fight, right? The atmosphere is kind of evil. It's not outright evil, but it's kind of evil. There are enemies. They're not spammed too heavily, but they do come out every once in a while, and they can mess up your train, and I think that's fine. I'm not against, you know, extra enemies. It's just the perfect example is Alpha Omega. If I have 3 little blue fuckers shooting me with lightning while I'm trying to train constantly, just throwing it from rooftops where I can't even find them, like, it doesn't feel good. It's just not fun to play. But Shadows of Evil, I think, manages that balance. I think it toes the line very well. And then, of course, the Margwas come in as mini-bosses. You've got the free Gobblegum Easter egg. You've got the Noir filter Easter egg, which fits perfectly on that map. Like, playing it in black and white is so much fun. I wish it was, like, an unlockable setting, though, that you could toggle after that. But, still, Shadows of Evil is I think Shadows of Evil is as close to a perfect map as you can get with zombies, and it is my all-time favorite zombies map, so it's going to be at the top of this list when all is said and done.
It really is. All right, I'm going to guess we get a World War II map. We got Shino Numa. Okay, Shino Numa. Here's a hot take. The COD mobile version of Shino Numa is better than the original.
Shino was an interesting map. It had its flaws. Shino is the map you want to go on if you want to go for the highest round in all of zombies. I think the highest round on that map is like 6,000, 7,000 right now. But, excuse me. It's a pretty simple map. It's nothing real special. I don't love it or hate it. I gotta think about this because I want to rate Die Rise at B tier, but I also don't think it's better than D Machina and Voyage. Does that mean D Machina and Voyage are also B tier? So does that mean Die Rise is a C tier? I'm having like internal debate about this. I need more categories, honestly. I just need more specificity. You know what? I'm gonna move it down there. And he's just talking about old maps again, which I've already said. Like, I don't think it's fair to put like Noct next to Shadows, because if you put Noct next to Shadows, Noct is obviously an F tier map, but in reality, it's not. So I think that the really old maps just kind of have to go into their case of nostalgia at some point, and just think of it as the Hall of Fame, actually. Think of it as like, these maps are the legacy of zombies. These maps are what built it up, laid the foundation, sort of made zombies important, made it the big game mode it is today. But they don't shine compared to where the development has gone, compared to where the development is now, if that makes sense. And so I believe that that's the case. But I'm actually gonna kind of edit these categories. Near perfect. A is for amazing. B is gonna be my average tier. C is gonna be subpar. Oh, we gotta tune back in for this one.
I would put Garad Crovey in the good category. Better than Revelations or World War II or Infinite Warfare. I want to roast some stuff here. Let's go. Garad Crovey. That's the opposite, dude. Okay, so Garad Crovey is, I mean, it's kind of come around on me a little bit. I think Garad Crovey has kind of come around on me on a really fun map to speedrun. I think it's a pretty darn fun map to play. I would put Garad Crovey in the good category. Better than Revelations, or sorry, the great category, whatever this one is. A. I would give it the great category. Garad Crovey is a great map. I think it's still worse than Spaceland or Descent, but it is a great map. And the aesthetic of it, the storyline, the graph modules, like, there's so much really, really cool stuff about it. I really have very little complaints about Garad Crovey.
I want to keep in mind that this is a nostalgia-free tier list, by the way. This would be very different if I could rate, like, Die Rise based off of my nostalgia. Like, because the reason I don't use nostalgia is because then D Machina is an F tier map and Outbreak is F tier, because they don't have nostalgia propping them up because they're new maps. A lot of these maps, I think their spot would change if I could factor in nostalgia, but unfortunately I'm not doing that. So, like, when, you know, you talk about fun maps in the past, I just want to kind of make clear that this ranking would change if I was counting whether or not they're fun, but Garad Crovey's position wouldn't change. Oh boy. You know what? This is gonna surprise a couple of my close friends. Garad Crovey's going in the D tier. I'm actually ranking Garad Crovey better than Revelations, which I can't believe. A lot of people wouldn't believe that I'm doing it, because I believe personally that Garad did everything wrong. There's nothing Garad did right. Garad broke the leveling in BO3 because you could pick up the egg infinite times. The Dragon Gauntlet was cool, but it had a really long cooldown. You had to get the Wonder Weapon out of the mystery box, and when you did get the Wonder Weapon, it was fucking disappointing. The Wonder Weapon was so sad. The Ray Gun Mark IIIs were the lamest excuse for that. I would have preferred the normal ray gun to that. I believe the Shadow Claw was first in that map as well, I want to say. The Shadow Claws were fun. I'll give them that. Especially as the revive gun. Being able to shoot more revive bolts is kind of cool. The Mangler wasn't that bad, but the map's layout was terrible. The map's layout was terrible. You had, everything was, like, super, there was nowhere to train. Like, I always wanted to do rounds on the map. I wanted to love it, but I just felt like there was nowhere to train that wasn't just a claustrophobic train wreck. The Easter egg, the bomb step could kill you. I think that says enough. Like, if you die to an Easter egg, I don't think it should be to failing a step that you can retry, like, that you're supposed to be able to retry. Also, the ending cutscene was glitched for 3.5 years, so you literally couldn't complete the Easter egg no matter how hard you tried. The map was a mess. I think that the map still is a mess. I don't like it. It is the one map that, like, if somebody needs help with a BO3 Easter egg, I'll probably still help them. The only map I'm not doing is Garad Crovey. But yeah, that's... I just don't like Garad Crovey. It's purely personal. Like,
Dead Man Walking, literally OP.
Like, Garad Crovey, this is the most subjective. This is the most subjective ranking on this list. I try to be fairly objective with, like, using the same criteria on each of these maps for the most part, right? Which are going to be, like, atmosphere, side quests or other interesting things to do, enemy types. Like, I try to talk about the same things, right, for each of these. Gerard Crovey is just bad. I don't have enough. I don't have it in me to look past the fact that I just hate the map enough to give it an objective rating, and I'm sorry, so take it with a grain of salt. But
we got Infection. Okay, Big Burger Town. I mean, this map doesn't even need an explanation. I am a huge Infection fan. And part of the, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, part of the reason that I'm such a big fan of Exo Zombies is I literally got like world's first on the first like 3 maps. I think I got like, I would have to look at my actual list to, you know, show everything. And I want to make a video eventually on the world's first of every single zombie map in terms of teams and stuff. I have all that information written down in a spreadsheet. I don't remember which map I didn't get. Anyway, I got world's first on Infection. I love this map. I think that objectively it is worse than than Descent and a lot of these other ones. So I'd go ahead and put Infection in the average category. If I'm, again, objectively looking at it, I know people would put it in painful category. I truly think Infection was actually a lot of fun. Triple, like, triangle map design. Oh,
actually, you know what? Infection was that bad. I added 2 more tiers literally to make Infection lower. Let's see. What was on Infection? You had to defend survivors, and they didn't have guns, and the zombies just killed them, and then you got punished for it. Literally everything you did on that map, or literally all the objectives on that map, if you didn't do them, you got punished, and then that punishment would just come around randomly sometimes. And the punishment was not being able to use a third of the map. Like, really? It's so lame. Like, half the map is just covered in gas for a round, and you're forced to go underground. It's... Like, that mechanic alone crippled the map, because you could never actually enjoy the map. Right, you were always on the run from the gas, unless you just picked a training spot that the gas never went to, but, like, that eliminates, like, 60, 70, 80% of the map. I forget if you could build the Wonder Weapon, but knowing Advanced Warfare, I doubt you could. I'm pretty sure it was just a box Wonder Weapon, which spamming box is never fun. I am forgetting the mini bosses. Let me see. That's not Infection. Oh, hold on. No, that's literally not Infection. That's Outbreak. I'm not stupid, right? This is also not Infection. Did we finally get some actual Okay, well, you know what? You know what? I totally forgot about this guy. Hate him. Mini boss that's just armor and has nothing unique about him. Kind of boring, right? Although I would also like to point out that from what I'm seeing right now, I just searched up Infection mini boss, and the top results, the top 3 results, none of them had Infection gameplay in them. That's how bad the map is. Literally, the top 3 video results for that map are not gameplay of that map. It's a different map, and they're just talking about Infection.
Oh, it's average.
Infection is a nightmare.
Infection's
but
a good map.
I'll still play it. I won't play Gerard
Crovey,
Crovey, but I'll play
Infection.
Infection.
The same games over and over when we keep pulling randomly. Firebase Z. All right, another Black Ops Cold War map. BOCW. Firebase Z. I mean, it's definitely where did I put D Machine? I put D Machine here. Firebase Z is better than D Machine, but I think it's very slightly better. And would I rather play Firebase Z or Kino or Toten? I think it depends on my mood. So I'm gonna put it right here. I'm gonna put it right. It's Firebase Z and D Machine. I think they both exist next to each other. Cold War, thankfully, has gotten better and better with every single map that they put out. But it's average. It's average. It has some cool features. And again, had a better storyline if it was in like the Ether storyline and it would had characters, it would be higher. But for gameplay alone, I mean, gameplay alone getting you to a C is really good. So
you know what? I don't know why these maps are in C. Actually, I do. I hate to say it, but I agree with Noah again. The gameplay on the maps is fine. It's not exemplary, but it's not terrible. Firebase's Easter egg is a little bit of a nightmare, which is why I put it below D Machina's. But why I put it below D Machina. The characters not being unique is sad, but like, you know, given development crunches, I can only care about so many things. I will give Treyarch a pass because of the whole development cycle issues. But the issue I have, the biggest issue with D Machina and Firebase Z and why I struggle so much to rank them is they're both so bland. Like, they're both one color. Firebase Z is orange, and actually, wait a minute, I just thought of something. Yeah, Firebase Z is going down there. Okay, so Firebase Z just got a lot worse, and there's one reason. Firebase Z was supposed to be the map set in Vietnam. And instead it was the map set in a facility that we were told is in Vietnam. The Vietnam is historically known for its jungles, for like the Vietnam War, right, is exactly what I'm thinking about, right? Like, they're very dense jungles, bushes, vines. It's easy for things to hide from you. It's easy for things to jump out at you. And we got zero jungle. Literally all we got was like the 30 seconds of dark jungle during the teddy bear Easter egg that's so dark you still don't get to see the jungle. But we get teased with the jungle. We get to stare at it from a distance. We get to watch the zombies run out of it. We just can't run in it ourselves. And it was supposed to be the Vietnam map. We wanted the fucking jungle. And that's the one thing we didn't get. And it was so disappointing. And it still is. Honestly, it still is so disappointing. I hate it. I know a lot of people who hate it. And if that's not bad enough, like I said, the map is one color, right? If you look, you see that orange right in the background there above the Mimic's head? You probably can't because of YouTube compression, but you get my point. That's it. That's the color you get. It's just a disgusting map overall. It doesn't even have the saving grace of the Dark Aether being colorful. Like, I would play Firebase Z a lot more, genuinely, if I could look at the map long enough to get to round 30. But I cannot stand looking at the map, so I end up, like, quitting out round 25, maybe round 30.
Extinction.
I don't know how...
Oh, boy.
I don't know how I got the... We're pausing on this one. Dead of the Night is massively important. The most popular video on this channel is the Dead of the Night video, actually. Although it's also Tim Slander, I don't know who came for what. But what was I talking about? Yeah, Firebase is just a disappointing map overall. I wouldn't recommend playing it to anybody. But yeah, no. That's kind of... Yeah, we're just gonna move on to Dead of the Night.
This isn't even the one that I was thinking of because I literally have deleted this one from my mind. You cannot ever, no matter what, change my mind that Dead of the Night is the worst zombie map to ever be made ever. Because of one reason and one reason only. There are like 80 spawn points that you need to learn in order to play this map. Some of them aren't even interactable. Some of them are literally scratch marks. There are like 87 spawn points to learn on Dead of the Night. It is a chore to play. It isn't fun. The Easter egg is confusing and really, really hard to remember. The guides are like 80 minutes long on these because you need a minute for every part spawn. Dead of the Night is the worst zombie map of all time. I don't care your opinion. This is the factually correct statement. Anyone who likes Dead of the Night literally only likes it because people hate it. And
Yeah. No. No. This is. I'm pretty sure. Is this the take? Is this the take? Says Kino Verruct is a great map. Says Kino isn't good. Makes fun of Tim for his tier list. It's 40 minutes. This list brought back my depression. Nuketown Zombies are my joke to you. Dead of the Night genuinely makes my top 10 list. I'm surprised nobody's talking about it. He's so wrong about Dead of the Night. Now, I'm a little bit biased because Dead of the Night is my second favorite map of all time, so it's going right up in the near perfect tier. Where is it? It should be before Zetsubu no Shima, but after Shadows, please. That's not too hard to do, is it? I made an 1.5-hour video about this. I'll summarize it here. There are a lot of part spawns. They're very intuitive. The map is set up like a cross. You start in the middle. So there's one part for everything in the middle, and then the parts are pretty linear as you move out of the middle, right? Like there's one shield part on each side of the middle, there's one silver bullet part on each side of the middle, there's one key part to upgrading the wonder weapon on each side of the middle, there's one major step in the Easter egg on each side of the middle. Like, if you work your way from the house out, you'll find all the parts, and they're logically arranged. Like, like, if it were 80... if it were 80 spawns that were just like, it's in a corner in this room, or it's in a corner in this room, or it's, leaning up against a tank on Garad Krovi, or it's finding the mimics on Firebase Z, or it's, let's see, what else? Finding the wisps under Eisendrache, or it's, I'm trying to think of a really good example. Finding the codes unclassified. Like, imagine those things don't have set spawns, right? I can understand why you would say it's a nightmare, because even finding the first set is pretty bad. But Dead of the Night, it's organized logically. The environment is excellent. The lore behind the map is excellent. It looks incredible. Like, Dead of the Night is maybe... Actually, that's not true. Dead of the Night is the second sexiest zombies map of all time after Shadows of Evil. Dead of the Night is just beautiful to look at. Don't look at the trees for too long, though. You might see some weird shit going on over there. Don't look at them in the cutscene either, especially not if you have cartoon mode on, but we don't talk about that. Now, one thing I will give it, the cutscene, shoot first, ask questions later, doesn't mean that you actually get to ask questions. The asking questions is the sarcastic part, and Scarlet doesn't seem to know that. Because she shoots, Alistair, oh my, no, he shoots the butler, I forget his name. She shoots the butler, Godfrey, there it is. She shoots Godfrey, through the shoulder and then asks him questions while he's bleeding out in a house fire, which doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you talk? You're already dead. She's not gonna carry you out, nobody else is. And then he dies anyways, but like, still, Dead of the Night is a masterpiece of a map from end to end. It's absolutely incredible, and if you want to know my full opinion on Dead of the Night, go watch the video. Tim Hansen's Dead of the Night review is fundamentally flawed. That I go over my very full opinion of Dead of the Night in that. Oh, the side Easter eggs are incredible. Like, the entire map, even the achievements, have the haunted have the like have the murder mystery theme to them, right? Like, one of them is literally a reference to Clue. One of them is a reference to Frankenstein. Like, the map is full of secret rooms, full of little things to do. It's awesome. It is, I think it might be the most life we've ever seen in a zombies map, and to call it terrible is just a disgusting misappropriation of what the map was actually trying to get across.
They want to be cool and quirky, be like, oh, I'm a real zombies fan. No, Dead of the Night is the worst zombie map of all time. Painful literally, how do I add a category? Here we go. Dead of the Night. Literally below painful. Abomination. There it is. There it is. Factually correct. Man, we are flying through this right now. Grostenhaus. I mean, like, what? Who here has played Grostenhaus a whole lot? I mean, it's I mean, it's better than Bus Depot and Farm, but barely. Groston House is like there. There's not anything fun about Groston House. I mean, it's a cool addition, and I always like when they add in extra stuff. That doesn't mean it has to be good. It was good entertainment for like 2 attempts on it, and that was it. And, you know, better than Bus Depot and Farm, but L.
Alright, I ranked Groston House was the tutorial level in World War II Zombies. For those who don't know, so it wasn't a very, you know, commonly played level, because like I said, it was a tutorial. It wasn't meant to be very complex. I don't even think there was an actual wonder weapon on it. But the important thing to note here is that this tier ranking is not based on complexity alone. The map itself was pretty nice. It was atmospheric. It was in a cabin. It had the cabin feel. It had some life to it. There was like a secret room you could open, so there was a little Easter egg you could do too. And given the size of the map, you know, you can't expect it to be packed with Easter eggs, but you had a little something, which you didn't have on Farm, Bus Depot, and Town. Revelations is terrible because of enemy spam. Firebase Z is only one color. Garrod Crovy is just my least favorite map. So Groston House goes above all of those. I think kind of by default, like, because Groston House, it didn't do a lot of what you wanted to see in a zombies map, but it also didn't do anything wrong. Like, there were no, you know, massive flaws in Groston House, like there were in some of these other maps. And so, you know, I think that the lack of flaws speaks volumes just as much as the, you know, lack of expansion does. Like, it was a pretty minimalistic map, but it stuck to that.
Mob of the Dead, let's go, big mob. So I think Mob of the Dead is one of the kind of more overrated maps in terms of people's rankings. I think people kind of forget some of the, you know, repetitive, boring parts of it. That being said, it was one of the best storylines, if not the best storyline, and it was contained with itself. And I mean, obviously it got lots of, like, you know, retconning of like, hey, this was actually, you know, their blood is important, stuff like that. But I'm going to put Mob of the Dead in it. It's an S tier map, and I'm going to go ahead and keep it right there. I think dude, that's hard, actually. This is really, really hard.
Okay, here's the thing, right? Mob of the Dead is an awesome map. I love it. It's going in average, and there's a reason it's going in average. Hear me out. I think a lot of people misuse average categories when they do rankings. The average is the most important category, right? Because nothing can be great if something isn't average to compare it to. So, like, I think Mob of the Dead, and by extent, I'll just go ahead and do Origins now. Where's the other Origins? Mob of the Dead and Origins are going to serve as the average for me. You see both of them, you see elements from both of them repeated in future maps, right? You see, you know, single wonder weapons come out of Mob of the Dead, like single super, super powerful wonder weapons. Like, when you shot the original Blundergat, it felt like you were shooting like an anti-tank weapon, right? Like, it felt like you just kind of had the barrel of a tank in your hands. It was so, so satisfying. It was an incredible experience, just like the Marauder Totem wonder weapon is for a single wonder weapon, just like the Shadows of Evil wonder weapon is for a single wonder weapon, just like the Dead of the Night wonder weapon is for a single wonder weapon, and same with Zetsubu, right? Like, Mob of the Dead is kind of the average wonder weapon that gives birth to all of these better sort of one-trick wonder weapons on the map. And then Origins is the one that gives access to the quad type wonder weapons, right? Like Voyage, like the Machine, like the Eisendrache. Origins is sort of the average, where it's the first sort of big expansive map that you get that's got a lot of open space. It's got the mud in it, which kind of knocks it down a bit, but not too much. And it's a little bit overrated, I think, but like overall, you know, it introduces the Panzer, which has become kind of the legendary mini-boss of zombies, right? Like, the Panzer is the recognizable mini-boss. At least I think it is. The Marg was maybe a close second. And you've got the 4 staffs, which are all ultimate, all incredible. You've got reviving from a distance, which I know existed before, but attaching it to a wonder weapon is, you know, kind of a whole new thing. So basically, the reason that Mob and Origins are in the average tier isn't because they're bad or good maps, but because they are what the rest of the tier list is fundamentally based off of, right? Like, if I'm saying a map is subpar, I'm saying like, I don't think this map can tee up with Mob of the Dead and Origins and come out on top, right? If I'm saying a map is amazing or near perfect, I'm saying I think it has a chance against Mob of the Dead and Origins as, you know, a truly incredible zombies map, right? Like, that's sort of the dichotomy. So by only putting Mob of the Dead and Origins in the average tier, I'm not saying that they are like middle of the pack maps necessarily. What I'm saying is that they are the backbone of the rating system here. And so it's kind of important to maintain a solid, understandable core to go through when you're talking about the rest of the maps.
I think Der Eisendrache is worse than Mob of the Dead simply because of the story, man. Mob of the Dead had such driving characters, and for them to do this with like characters we've never seen before, like such incredible storytelling, and the map itself is really, really fun. I think if there was anything better about the gameplay, I think like the BO2 system doesn't really hold up in terms of, again, like I said, smooth gameplay and connection. I think aside from those things, Mob of the Dead could be one of the greatest map of all time, but I think the gameplay does hold it back a little bit because it is just kind of clunky on BO2 sometimes. So Mob of the Dead is getting a S tier map easily, and I think it deserves right there, right after Shadows of Evil for me. Dude, give me the good stuff. What do we got? We got the Tortured Path. I mean, it's called the Tortured Path for a reason, and it's literally...
Alright, I'm gonna expand a little bit. On Mob of the Dead and Origins, neither of them suffer from enemy spam, which is good. Neither of them suffer, or they both... No, Mob of the Dead doesn't. Origins has that little kind of spike that I want, like that mini-boss fight. Not quite as heavy as the spider fight, but it does have the, like, quad panzer from the Easter egg step. You've got plenty to do. You've got a little bit to do on Mob. You've got a lot more to do on Origins with all the staff upgrades. So... Oh, hey, is this one missing Outbreak, or did I accidentally throw Outbreak somewhere already? I think this one's missing Outbreak, but...
I mean, the Easter egg didn't really have a boss fight. Exo Zombies.
Yeah, let's tune back in here.
This map was actually really, really good. I'm not going to put it anywhere near Descent. I'm going to put this into the average category. I think Outbreak was average. Would I rather play it than Die Rise? Depends on the occasion. I'm going to put it at the very, very end of average. I think it was a great intro. Storyline was whatever. Outbreak, I mean, the Easter egg didn't really have a boss fight. So, lackluster maybe. I feel like I was too harsh on the second Outbreak now. I don't know. I'm going to put the second Outbreak at the very top. I'm going to move this up because Outbreak, it's enjoyable, man. It's fun to stream. I like it. So, yeah, let's do that. Two Outbreaks right next to each other, one tier above. Let's go with that. That feels a lot more fair to.
I think Outbreak was. Honestly, I enjoyed playing it personally, but thinking about the criteria that I've set up and maintained throughout this review, it's an F tier map. It does everything that Revelations does. The Wonder Weapon is in the Cell 3, the Wonder Weapon is in the mystery box. It spams you with enemies, like it spams you with EMPs to amp up the difficulty. The infection rounds are just annoying. They're not fun at all. The Pack-a-Punch takes forever, feels tedious. The movement's a little clunky, but the map still felt good to play. And you know what? I can't really explain why. Like, if you look at it logically, it should be a terrible map, by all means, right? Like, all the criteria I've laid out here, it fails all of them. I don't even think it did a very good job of conferring the, like, evil facility vibe that it was supposed to give off, right? So, I think I would put it in the F tier if I had it, but I don't have it, so here we are. Actually, I think this Outbreak is supposed to be this Outbreak is almost definitely that's I think that's actually the exosuit machine from Outbreak. Either that or it's the like poison cure machine from the special rounds. So I think that's actually supposed to be the Advanced Warfare Outbreak, but we're gonna keep that as the BO4 Outbreak. But yeah, just know that Outbreak would go in F tier objectively, but in personal tier, it would probably be up in C.
Outbreak of Cold War zombies. Who do we got? We got Rave in the Redwoods. Okay, so if zombies...
Alright, I haven't played Rave. We already know that. I put everything in the inexperienced category that I haven't played earlier, right? Ancient Evil, Tag, Blood of the Dead, Buried, Alpha 9, Nuketown Carrier, and Transit. Yeah. Actually, you know what? I think it's a good idea to go ahead and throw Nuketown into the old maps category. I think Nuketown, despite being a newer map, I think fundamentally it fits better with the old maps in the sense that, like, it has one sort of gimmick with the perks in the same way that most of the Black Ops 1 maps have a gimmick with the perks. And it's got a wonder weapon, but it's nothing super special. Right? I've never heard of Mayday, by the way. I haven't played it. Either, you know, because I haven't heard of it. So, we can just keep talking here, I guess. I think that this average tier, I just want to reiterate one more time. I think it's important to create a sort of gold standard, right? And I think Mob of the Dead and Origins are the gold standard of zombies maps. I don't think that they deserve to be on the pedestal, right? Like, I don't think they're like the Jesus of zombies maps. I think they're just, you know, they are like, if every map had all of the fundamental design elements that either Mob of the Dead or Origins had, I think they would all be great maps, right? Like, I think you could say that pretty easily. Oh, hang on, we gotta tune back in here. We're on TOG now.
Hard because people didn't like the ending. I think, like, my nostalgia wants me to put it up here. I'm not gonna lie. The nostalgia for that boss fight really wants me to put it up here, but I'm gonna put it behind Mauer Dertone. Mayday was incredible, and I think it's really, really difficult to say otherwise, and especially compared to Extinction. Oh, so good, so good. We got Tog der Toten. Okay, Tog der Toten. I think Tog der Toten was crapped on a little bit too hard because people didn't like the ending. I think it was average. I think it was lower average. Let's put it right here, right behind Der Reis. I think Tog der Toten definitely caught a little bit too much slack for its ending. I think parts of the map were really, really cool. I think the storyline was cool. To this day, I still don't know exactly how I feel about the ending. Again, I wish the Zombies team had more budget because I'm sure they wanted to do more than just Call of the Dead remake. But all things considered, it's back half of average. It's closer to being bad than it is to being good, but it's average.
You know what? Tag is gonna go, I think, above D Machine, but in the subpar category. I don't think it's quite up to the standard of average in Origins and Mob, but the story on the map was incredibly important. I don't care what you say if it's badly done, because they were faithful to reality in that ending, and they were faithful to reality in the Revelations ending. Like, they were faithful to the only actual ways out of a paradox. And so I don't think you can really argue, because their creativity was so limited by the fact that the universe was paradoxical. And I think that's part of why they wanted to start a new Zombies game mode, is to kind of escape that paradoxical cycle. But what's right about Tag? You've got a really nice guy in Pablo. You've got, some interaction with the map. You've got an actual expansion on Call of the Dead, which is nice. Getting to see a little bit more of the surrounding area. You've got a bunch of wonder weapons, and you have free Easter eggs for all of them. Like, there is a way to get all of the Easter eggs, or all of the wonder weapons, I think, except the regular Thunder Gun, is it, for free, which is good, because you eventually, I believe, need all of them for the Easter egg. There were a couple of glaring bugs with the map, but I haven't counted bugs against maps so far, otherwise all the BO4 maps would be just dead. not because of, you know, their own bugs, but because the game just kind of crashed. And Cold War would be gone too, because I'm pretty sure people are still getting banned for high rounds. So essentially, what you've got, Tag is a pretty decent map in terms of layout. It's kind of fun to run around. The ice water doesn't feel as oppressive. Actually, the ice water is not as oppressive as the model in Origins because it only takes effect when you stand in it for a while, and because there's a heat pack to help counteract it. Like, there's a buildable to deal with it. So overall, you know, I think the ice water is an improvement on the Origins mud, which the more you hear me talk, the more you'll know I hate that mud. It's actually the reason I don't play Origins anymore. I just really don't like the mud. And also, like, the rest of the map, like, I can get the entire rest of the Origins experience on Eisendrache. I can get the 4 wonder weapons that all take different paths. I can get the big robot man shooting at me. And, I can get rocket tested, I guess, instead of getting stomped. But, like, still. Like, I don't know. I think that the fact that there was a heat pack there to counter the in-map mechanism, which, by the way, is another thing that I love about Dead of the Night, is the fact that there are some annoying enemies in the map, and there are ways to counter all of them. And the ways fit the map's theme really, really well. But Tag has, you know, a decent amount. There are some fun little spots on Tag. Honestly, there are. There are some jumps you can only make with stamina. There are some jumps that are a lot easier to make with stamina. Like, there are a lot of little nuances to the map that I think make it feel really natural. The quotes are annoying, but that's also true of Dead of the Night. If you've ever played Dead of the Night as the Brigadier and gone down and you have subtitles on, heaven help you. Aside from that, though, I think Tag is a pretty, like, meh map. Like, I don't really like playing it. It's kind of fun in the same way that, like, the only reason I play Blood of the Dead is to train on the roof. It's just the only thing I find remotely entertaining about the map. The Blundergat just doesn't feel the same. The Blundergat doesn't feel the same. The Acid Gat was, like, neutered. It's terrible. It's a self-down machine. That's to try to force you to get the Lava Gat, which is way too strong, I think. The traps are different. The extra space is cool. The catwalk is a nightmare. The specialists in the Aether maps are really bad. Like, they're almost not worth using. I think we can move on for now, though.
Next up, we got Carrier. Oh, baby, you already know we're putting these up here. Carrier is an A-tier map. Does it go above Descent? I don't think so. I think Descent and then Carrier. Dude, these 3 maps right here are, in my opinion, well, we won't say that yet. We'll save that for when we come to it. Here we go. Let's see. We've got 9. Number 11, Burger King foot lettuce.
Okay, I don't know why he said number 11, Burger King foot lettuce there. We'll get to 9 in a second. I think Carrier is better than Descent, just based on layout. The rest of the maps, honestly, like Advanced Warfare, one of the big issues I had with the map was that the play itself was just pretty fucking repetitive. Like, I think all the maps fundamentally felt the same. They all kind of had the laboratory vibe, and they were the same zombies in all of them. Like, I didn't play too much Carrier. I remember loving what I did play. I don't have too much to say about Carrier, just like I didn't have too much to say about Descent. Although, actually, I think Descent might be better than Carrier, just because I remember Descent had, like, the mid-roll mini-boss. Descent had the bouncy wonder weapon, if I'm not mistaken. And bouncy wonder weapons are fun.
9 was the best map of BO4. That's not even debatable. That's up there. I think it's a great map. I think it's back half of great. I would rather play Descent and Carrier, Zombies in Spaceland, and Garage Crovy over 9, but these are pretty much the only maps I would say are better than it. 9 was BO4 had a great start with 9.
If I didn't dislike the video because of what he said about Dead of the Night, I would have disliked it for what he said about 9. 9 is not the best map in BO4. Dead of the Night is. But 9 is an incredible map. I do agree with him that it's above average. There's a lot of really good stuff about it. I would put 9. 9 is like... 9 is pretty close, I think, to being top 5. I think 9 might be worse than Mauer. Mostly because the Wonder Weapon is terrible, because... Actually, no, 2 things that I don't like about 9. Number 1, the Wonder Weapon is terrible. No, or 3 things. Number 1, the Wonder Weapon is terrible. Number 2, the Easter egg is a drag. You have to wait 20 rounds to do the first step, and then you do the entire rest of the Easter egg in 5 rounds, and that's just because I guess they didn't want us to do the Easter egg too fast. But, like, waiting 20 rounds, like, seriously? Come on. And then the boss fight's a pushover, because by the time you're done with the Easter egg, you have enough points to get the Hellion, and the Hellion absolutely melts the boss because it can hit multiple hitboxes at once. So overall, I love 9. The layout's incredible. It was a really good start, I agree, for BO4. It's pretty easy for new players to get used to. It's a very intuitive layout, right? It's the same kind of intuition to me that Dead of the Night has. It's the same kind of like you see all 4 gods and you're like, okay, each one of them has a perk statue. Now I just need to find it. You go underground, you see this, big closed off room with the sacrifice thing. You're like, okay, I gotta sacrifice something to that. Then there's a gong in one tower. And then once you complete it, the priest says, what is it? Like the champion of Ra is sated or something like that. Or it's the calling in the champion of Ra, Danu, whatever. And so that kind of gives you the clue that there's a sacrifice altar in all 4 of them. The shield part pieces aren't quite as intuitive in my mind, nor is the free perk, but the free perk should be hidden. It's a side Easter egg. I think the map does a really good job of being colorful without being too unrealistic, if that makes sense. The audience is awesome. The audience mechanic is a fun one, although there are a couple of really bad things about it. Like, for some reason, a tiger charging you and your shield breaking both cause your audience affinity to drop. You don't want to know how many times my Easter egg has been set back by that one. The fire gets a little annoying, a little fast. I'll give it that. But still, I think... I think that 9... Excuse me, this video has been very long. 9 is an incredible map. I have no complaints about it, and I still sometimes hop on BO4 and play it, actually.
Voyage, wherever that is, not so good, but you know what I mean. All right, let's keep going. All right, last 2 rows. It's gonna be harder. Blood of the Dead. Woo. Okay. Again, crapped on a little bit too hard. I'm gonna put it at the top of bad. They tried a lot of stuff, and I think they missed the mark on things not being tedious, and instead rather being, they missed the mark on things being like from really cool Easter egg challenges, like that are, fun and engaging, to just being tedious steps. And I think they wanted to extend the Easter egg hunt. And I think Revelations is a good example of how to extend the Easter egg hunt in the right way. I know how much people hated that stupid rock step on Revelations. This was just like, it's not fun to replicate. Revelations, once you know the steps, you can replicate it decently well. It's still not a perfect example, but that sort of difficulty of Easter egg is actually what I like. Really hard to figure out, but easy to replicate. And Blood of the Dead is hard to figure out and hard to replicate. And I think that Cold War is basically easy to find out, easy to replicate.
All right, he's going on about other stuff right now. I mentioned this earlier. The only thing that I like about Blood of the Dead is training on the roof. The only thing that I think is fun about Blood of the Dead is training on the roof. The Easter egg is so bad, I won't do it. I'm pretty sure I have like 3 completions of it compared to 57 completions of 9. compared to, 30 completions of Ancient Evil, 30 completions of Dead of the Night, 20 completions of Voyage. Like, I will not run public matches of Blood of the Dead because the Easter egg is so awful. The acid gat is worthless, so basically you end up with, despite there being 6 different wonder weapons you can theoretically use, you always end up with the same one, I think, unless you just kind of want to die, because the blunder gat got nerfed, the acid gat got nerfed, and the magma gat is OP as hell. So, like, what other choice do you really have? The perks are incredibly inconvenient to get to. There's no afterlife, which is sad. A lot of the build tables are kind of out of the way. Like, I think that Blood would have been better if the original mob components were more faithful to mob, if that makes sense. Like, if the blunder gat was still stronger, if the acid gat was still stronger, if the I think it could have been a lot better with just a couple of changes, honestly. Also, if you could use BO4 specialists, because God only knows it's a nightmare trying to revive somebody enough as it is on that map. But then the Easter egg is a nightmare. The side Easter eggs are a nightmare. The Pack-a-Punch moving and there's no way to tell where it's going. That's actually another thing I should have mentioned more throughout this list. Any map that has a moving Pack-a-Punch is instantly a little bit lower in my mind. But yeah, no, I don't think Blood of the Dead was a good map at all. Honestly, I didn't like it. I think there are a lot of flaws with it, and the Easter egg being a nightmare on top of all those flaws just kind of thrusts it down.
Some of these other maps are the complete opposite, and that's definitely Blood of the Dead. So it's top of bad category. Top of bad. I'm sorry, Blood of the Dead. I really wanted to love you, but I just couldn't. We got Origin. Okay. All right. So easily S tier, right? Easily S tier. I think I don't know if it's my opinion of these other maps going up or my opinion of Eisendrache because it's so overplayed going down. Eisendrache, the only thing that I think it has over Origins, honestly, is the boss fight. The boss fight in Eisendrache is one of my favorite boss fights ever of all time. But I don't think that's enough to outweigh everything else that Origins has that Eisendrache doesn't. Origins was just such a massive undertaking. I think Origins goes above Eisendrache. Now, between Origins and Mob of the Dead, simply for the fact of, again,
Origins, like I said, it's the backbone, right? It is one of the most important maps to zombies. It's one of the maps, Origins and Mob of the Dead are the two maps that you saw a massive player spike in zombies in BO2. Like, kind of when zombies became mainstream, if you will. Like, BO2 is the game that made all the other developers start putting in zombies modes. And I think that's important to mention, and I think that Mob of the Dead and Origins are the two maps that kind of did that, but like I said, I think they themselves are kind of overrated, and Origins is the perfect example of this. It has a lot of good, and I'm going to go a little bit more in depth now than I did earlier. It's got a lot of good about it, right? The staffs are incredible, the map itself is incredible. The Easter egg, I'm sure, is pretty fun. Upgrading the staffs gives you something interactive to do for a significant amount of time. Now for the bad things. The mud is terrible. The dig sites get annoying. The Templar zombies come and shut off your generators, like, even in high rounds. Like, shutting off the generators is something I think should stop at round 30, maybe round 40, but should happen more frequently in those rounds. Because after, like, round 30, 40, when you're set up, just sitting in a corner with an ice staff, like, fucking really? You're gonna make me run for a generator halfway across the map? Come on. It's just not fun at all. It just interrupts the flow of gameplay. But, like, early game, I understand why you would want it as an extra challenge while people are still getting set up. Same thing with the mud. I think instead of a golden shovel, we should have gotten golden boots that make us immune to the mud, and then we could have just, collected the full set of gold armor and been a Minecraft player. But, having the gold helmet counter the robots is nice. Having nothing to counter the mud is really bad. But again, like, Origins kind of has the good and the bad, and they balance out, and you can see all of those features. Like, you can see all of the sort of staples of Origins, all of the standout pieces in Origins. You can see them replicated in other maps, which is why I think Origins is sort of the staple zombies map. Like, Origins is the average, along with Mob of the Dead for that same logic.
These things that the community figures out and how much detail and depth these maps have. Origins, its Easter egg gets tedious at times, and it's hard to remember. But I think it still goes over Mob of the Dead for me. I think these are elite.
That was a good point. Origins is a map that you need guides for. I don't know if there's anybody who, outside of like the few speedrunners, you know, the very elite, who have like all of the staff puzzles memorized, all of the, you know, like it's all of the dials, all of the symbols, all of the, like, if oh, wait a minute, I just found a little bit of irony. If you want to talk about 81 things to remember, half of which you don't even directly interact with, talk about Origins, dude. Not Dead of the Night. Like, scratch marks, dude, I've got wind dials, I've got ice puzzle, I've got lightning, or I've got wind puzzle. I've got, you know, all those little smokestack, like, there's so much to remember on Origins. It's a nightmare. And it's not, Origins isn't as intuitive as, like, Origins has the design philosophy of there's a lot to do and it's kind of all hidden in corners. Like, everything is, like, all over the map, right? So it's not as easy to make it intuitive, where Dead of the Night, there's, the map is basically a plus sign, right? So, you start in the middle of the plus sign in the Grand Courtroom, and then the bottom of the plus sign is Pack-a-Punch, the top of the plus sign is the Danu perk room, and then the sides of the plus sign are dining hall, greenhouse, and library graveyard. And you find things in logical places on each of, like, when you first go to each of them, you find a shield piece. When you expand out into the farther areas, you find a symbol for the free wonder weapon, and you find part for the silver bullets. You also find necessary parts of the wonder weapon upgrades, the Easter egg upgrades, and the side quests kind of scattered in areas that make sense throughout the map, which you don't see as much in Origins. So, you know, despite being the backbone, I think Dead of the Night ultimately improved on Origins' sort of collect-a-thon system. But again, Origins is and will remain in the average tier for me. And I'm not ranking Origins. I'm not saying Origins. Actually, in my personal opinion, Origins is worse than Mob of the Dead. Objectively, though, I'm not actually ranking them in this order. Like, it's not... Like, I could put it like this, honestly. Like, Origins is better and worse, and Mob of the Dead is better and worse. Because they're the average. Like, they're the, you know, they're the bar that you want to try to hit. But let's keep going.
And it's really hard to distinguish between them, but it's gotta be there. Right below Shadows of Evil for me on Origins. Shadows of Evil is just, I don't know, man. There's something about it where I could always play a game of Shadows of Evil. I have to be in the right mindset for Origins. But if I'm not in the right mindset for Origins, Shadows of Evil is gonna... I'm always in the mindset for that. It's just such a pinnacle map, man. So, there it is. That's that. All right, what do we got here? We got Attack of the Radioactive Thing. Now, I'm a little biased again on this one because I did find out...
I haven't played Attack of the Radioactive Thing, unfortunately. You know what? No, we're gonna go through it.
To actually figure out how it was done with the chemical mixing. That being said, I think it was lackluster. I think it's probably right here, right behind Nocturne Totem, but above 5. That seems like a pretty good spot for it. It's definitely lackluster. I think they had really cool ideas. Boss fight, again, it's just the connection. If you are on a bad connection, you literally just die in the boss fight because they have that laser part. No, it's lackluster for sure. I wouldn't quite say it's bad, but it's close, very close. We're getting down to it. We got the final Reich. Okay, so here we go. This is what I was waiting for right here. The final Reich, right here. It's gonna be somewhere in. I think it's right there. I think it's Garad. I really want to have. Okay, I'm gonna put it Garad Crovy here, and I'm actually gonna put Final Reich at the end of the great maps, because I think this is where it belongs. But real quick, these 4 maps are how you do zombies when you're not Treyarch, in my opinion. Descent, Carrier, Zombies in Spaceland and the Final Reich. The Final Reich was a great map. I don't know what it is with Zombies in Spaceland, the Final Reich being so good, and then the season just slowly going downhill for me. But Final Reich is a great tier map. I think it is massively, massively underrated, and it was a great intro. It was actually really fun to speedrun as well. So, Final Reich, great map, great map. It's the one World War II map that I actually got big thumbs up for me, and I really enjoyed. Next up, we got Transit. Okay,
All right. Final Reich is, by the way, sorry, I'm getting a bit tired. This video just hit the 2-hour mark, and this is a single take, which I don't usually do, actually. Like, most of the other videos that have ended up being 2 hours in length have been split into multiple parts. Like, the Smith Plays documentary response was split into 3 videos. To sort of avoid that, even though I think the total runtime is like 2.5 hours. So Final Reich. Yeah, I'm gonna put it right there. I agree with Noah. Final Reich was an incredible map. There was a lot done right about it, especially for a non-Treyarch map. It introduced Cold War zombies beautifully. The Easter egg was awesome, dude. I loved the Easter egg. The hardcore Easter egg too. I haven't actually done it. I've heard really good things about it though. Like, I've heard that it was a really good challenge for even the experienced players. I might go back and try to do it. Who knows? We might see a video about that. But overall, I think it was an incredible map, and I watched somebody who's never played it play it the other day. It was really funny. I was sitting there, like, screaming in my head, just look to your left, like, the entire time. Because, you know, it guides you through the map. Like, it literally guides you through it, but it doesn't tell you, like, it tells you, like, 90% of what you need to know. Like, it tells you enough to put the other 10% together on your own, right? And he kept missing the other 10%, and I thought it was so funny. The guy I was watching, that is, kept missing the other 10%. And I thought it was funny. I thought it was great. So, you know, it had a really good new player experience. It seemed like, you know, he was exploring, he was making progress slowly, right? But he was making progress. Like, he was actually kind of understanding the map, comprehending it on his own, which is really good. So, you know, I've seen that new player perspective, and I can remember from my own experience as well. I loved playing on the map. I loved having all the field upgrades to help. I used the camouflage one to help pick people up faster, and it was all spec'd out to pick people up faster. And I thought that was an incredible addition. The Tesla guns were cool. Honestly, I think they were kind of underpowered as wonder weapons. But, you know, you had the same sort of quad wonder weapon system you saw in Origins. And, you had the default Tesla gun on top of that. Pack-a-Punch was kind of cool. It was nice that you could buy ammo. It was nice that you could trade out your perks as the game went on. I don't really have any complaints about the Final Reich, which is why I think it's above Origins. Like, things like the Mud on Origins, the Templars on Origins, those are the kinds of things that actually bump it below, like, 9 in the final. Like, I would put Origins above Mauer in the Final Reich if it weren't for, you know, a couple of major flaws that I think Mauer and the Final Reich improved on.
I mean, this is always the controversial one because you have people just doing this for the memes, and you also have people doing.
Actually, I guess I should say that I would put Mauer and the Final Reich below Origins if it weren't for those couple of things. Because Origins is the average. Origins never moves. Origins doesn't get worse or better. It stays where it is.
Doing what I did for Dead of the Night for the memes. Transit is a big controversial one. In all honesty, I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be, but that still is terrible. I think with remastering, with everything, it could be a lot better. I'm going to go ahead and put it right here, right next to Nocturne Totem. People will always try to get, you know, clickbait it, putting it like really high or really low. I think, honestly, it's just a lackluster map. I think they had really cool ideas. It was very, very memorable. Great story. Great way to kick off BO2. But I think we're lying to ourselves if we say it's better than, I mean, pretty much anything above it, or really it's worse than anything below it. I think it really does deserve that kind of like lower bottom tier.
You know what? I think, and it's interesting that Black Ops 2 is the sole component of the average category. I think that Transit is an incredibly important map to zombies. I think it's so important, in fact, that it goes in the average tier. Hear me out. When you look at Transit, right, you've got a bunch of buildables that do a bunch of different things. So they were experimenting with new buildables. They were experimenting with the buildable wonder weapon. They brought it back a couple of times. It didn't seem like people liked it. So for the most part, buildable wonder weapons go away. Every once in a while, you see them come back. You see them in Eisendrache. You see them in Zetsubu. You see them in Shadows, but it's never as in-depth, and it never breaks. It's also never an equipment again, right? So, like, Transit is kind of, I think, the map that Treyarch learns from, right? It's our first really big, really open map. It's the first map where you needed a fast travel. Well, is that true? It's the first map where I think you needed really consistent fast travel. It was the first map to have impermanent power. Like, Transit ended up, Transit taught everybody a lot, right? So, like, I agree with Noah. A lot of people say it's, like, a perfect map for the memes. A lot of people say it's the worst map for the memes. But seriously, I think Transit might be the most completely, like, Transit might be average in the true definition of average, not in the, like, I'm using it as part of this backbone now, right? Because it's average, but I think Transit might be literally, like, the map where all the ups balance all the downs. Like, there's not too much enemy spam, but the enemy spam there's an in-map counter for it. There's some creativity behind fast travel. There's some depth to the setup. There are a lot of different mechanics you can use. There are a lot of different decisions you have to make. Like, one good decision you have to make is, do you get Gavs or do you access the top of the bus? Like, there are all these things that there are all these little secrets too if you explore the fog. Like, I think that Transit was the first map to be, like, truly packed to the brim with sort of little things to do, or little, you know, sort of quirks. And I think you see a lot of that coming back in the newer maps. Like, especially you see a lot of that rivaled in Dead of the Night, where there are all these secret little out-of-the-way rooms that you can go to. Or, you know, you see the same sort of manipulable like, honestly, I think Shadows of Evil has a fairly linear fast travel progression from Transit. Like, if you look at Transit, right, it's got the bus and the portals. If you look at Shadows, you've got the trains and the portals. And the trains don't rotate on their own cycle anymore, but that's important. Because a lot of people hated the bus wasn't there when they needed it. But in Shadows, now you can keep the train where you need it and use it as soon as you need it. The portals, a lot of people thought it was a pain to keep them open and maintain them. The portals stay open now. Like, I think that if you look at Transit, you can see that they learned from a lot of the things that people didn't like, and they continued a lot of the things that the people did like. And so that's why Transit's now part of the average category, sort of forming that backbone along with Origins and Mob.
And that's my true opinions on Transit. As much as we like to meme it, it's not as...
Although, actually, I would like to say I agree with Noah that, like, I think Transit is an average map in the literal definition of the word, too. I've already said this. But not just in the backbone definition, it is also literally a very average map.
Leave our boy alone, man. He's not that bad. All right, we got Nightfall, one of the other fantastic Extinction maps. This is the other one that I think they did a really, really great job on. And I'm actually going to go ahead and give it the spot right here, right after Die Rise. I think right there. Nightfall had some insanely well done mechanics, and it was really interesting. And I'm just...
I haven't played Nightfall. We're basically just waiting for Alpha, Omega, Ancient Evil, and Buried, which is why I was starting to speed things up.
Enjoy some of this other stuff. Average. 2 more away from the last line. We got Ancient Evil. Okay, here's the other map that I think deserves a spot in the at least good category. 9 Better than Ancient Evil, yes, but Ancient Evil had so much memorable stuff, good storyline, a lot of fun, and it really actually, like, I mean, it wrapped up the Chaos story, and it's the one that got people saying, wait, I actually want to know more about the Chaos story, and I think it took a lot of work to do that. So I'm going to say Ancient Evil is right here.
Ancient Evil, I dare say, did everything that Noah praised Mobbin Origins for better than they did it. I think the story, oh my god, you know what? Can I even say that? No, it's tied. It has to be tied. I think Ancient Evil's story was just as good as Mob of the Dead's. It was just as thrilling and entertaining. Ancient Evil's wonder weapons, the gauntlets, are straight up better than the staves, in my mind. I think they're more fun. I think they're more creative. They're actually linked back to the story. They're linked to mythology. Like, there are ties between the real world and the map, literally and figuratively. The amazing thing about the Chaos story to me, right? The thing that will forever stand out in my mind about the Chaos maps is the fact that they're all based on mythology. So you have this level of, the map design, which they're all beautiful, they're all super colorful, and then on top of that, you've got the story, you've got the characters doing their things like they always do, right? Which I think the story is better than a lot of people give it credit for, personally. Like, I think that, think about it like this. The original zombie story took 10 years to unfold. How can you say that in the first 3 maps of Chaos, it's done worse than the original zombie story did in its first 3 maps? The first 3 maps in the original zombie story didn't have plot in them. The plot in them was retconned. Like, the entire plot was retconned to make the first 3 zombies maps actually fit in. The 3 Chaos maps, the 4 Chaos maps, actually have story. And then on top of that story, they have a layer of mythology. So if they're not really, like, if you don't like the story for the sake of the story, you can love the story for the sake of the fact that you're a nerd, for the sake of the fact that, you read Rick Riordan when you were little, for the sake of the fact that, you're inherently interested in this mythology, in how ancient societies process the world, because it's so cool to see all those real world ties. Like, it's so cool to be able to look at zombies and see the real world literally reflected in it. Even down to the fact that Ancient Evil was set on, a buried city in Rome that actually exists. Like, it's set in, like, the maps are set in literal legends, and it is so cool. The storytelling is incredible. Also Ancient Evil, on the meme side of things, ruined a man's career, and it became, oh, what did it do? What was the other one I was thinking of? Oh yeah, it ruined a man's career, and it gave every 13-year-old zombies player who was just learning how to do Easter eggs their first look at what actual kisses are. Lol, that was a joke. Don't cancel me. But still.
Right above Maurer Tone.
Like, Ancient Evil was an incredible map, and I think it deserves... I think it deserves a higher place than Origins.
Very, very close, and Maurer Tone with better story would be higher for me. But Ancient Evil, I think it sits very, very nicely right there in the middle of good. I think very, 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 very good spot for it. Next up, we got Call of the Dead. Okay, everybody who tells you Call of the Dead is a good map is lying. It's bad. I'm not gonna mess around. Call of the Dead. I would rather play Blood of the Dead than Call of the Dead.
I know I'm not ranking Call of the Dead with the other maps because it's old, but I've got to agree with Noah here. The wonder weapon scaling is terrible. It's almost impossible to get into the 50s or 60s. It's just such a drag if you want to do high rounds on that map. And then there's George Romero, who's just going to come in and try to beat you up every time you're shooting zombies and a stray bullet hits him. Like, the core gameplay loop is fairly simple. It's a box-based wonder weapon map again. So, overall, like, I hate to say it, Call of the Dead is an absolutely gorgeous map, especially for BO1, but it's not all that great. There's nothing super special about Call of the Dead outside George Romero, which was, basically, like, it was part of, I think, the development experiment of, like, figuring out what people wanted to see in zombies.
Straight up, Call of the Dead is not a fun map to play. I don't care who you are. Memorable, sure. Storyline, whatever. Not a fun map to play. Nothing about it is enjoyable. The ice, the layout of it. Ugh, no, Call of the Dead, bad tier map. Can't change my mind. Factually correct. Next up, we got Shangri-La. Okay, Shangri-La, I think just...
Okay, I'm just gonna mute the video and talk a little bit here. As we're coming to the end, I'm sure you guys have your disagreements. I'm sure you guys have your, issues with what I'm saying. And I don't know how many views this video is gonna get, but if you're gonna comment about the video, please remember to be civil. There's no reason to attack other people over opinions. And I tried to be as objective as possible. I tried to list all of the maps along the same sort of fair guidelines here. But I might not have done a good job. There might have been some faults, and things like Garad Krovi is the perfect example of a map that I just don't like, and so it's in a lower tier, and that's totally fine. There's no, you can't be perfectly objective with these things, because even if I set objective criteria, I'm still rating them subjectively. Although I am glad we saved Alpha Omega to the end, because oh boy is Alpha Omega gonna be fun. Okay, wait, we gotta get back to the...
Shangri-La, I mean, the baby gun itself is what is bringing out a bad category. So, Shangri-La, lackluster, but still decent map, very decent. All right, we're coming down to it here. Buried, oh, baby. Okay, this is one of those that I'm gonna say, if you disagree with me on this, it's not factually correct. I am so biased towards Buried. I am so biased towards Buried. I think it is one of the most fun, but still challenging zombie maps of all time. I'm gonna go ahead...
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Hang on, let me scroll that one back again and play it at normal speed for you guys. My brain works insanely fast. I can watch videos at double speed and just totally like it sounds like normal conversation in my head.
All right, we're coming down to it here. Buried.
Let's talk about Buried.
Okay, this is one of those that I'm gonna say, if you disagree with me on this, it's not factually correct. I am so biased towards Buried. I am so biased towards Buried. I think it is one of the most fun, but still challenging zombie maps of all time. I'm gonna go ahead and put Buried right behind Descent. I'm gonna put Buried right behind Descent. I absolutely enjoy me a game of Buried more than anything else in this world. There's so much stuff to do. There's so many cool perks. The Wonder Weapons is incredible. Buried is one of those maps that I think I could always pick up the game and play. I think it's, out of all the BO2 maps, definitely the one that I would always feel like playing. Even with Mob of the Dead, you have to kind of sweat in this. You don't have to sweat as much in Buried. You can just have a good time. Sharpshooter, so much fun. Buried, oh, it's great. It's a great map. That's where it belongs, 100%.
All right. Let's talk about Buried. I don't know how to think about this map. I'm struggling to think about it a little bit. Okay, let's think about it logically based off the criteria. Atmosphere is incredible. Love the atmosphere. All pluses on the atmosphere. Easter egg is horrible. As with most Black Ops 2 Easter eggs, it was pretty rudimentary. It was tied into like the sort of main storyline, and so it lacked its own identity. It was dependent on doing another map first and grabbing a nav card from that map, which I didn't like. Special cases. Special enemies were not spammed at all. They were actually contained to their own location, though they were exceptionally annoying in that one location. So I'm going to count the special enemies against... Actually, no. Special enemies are neutral because Leroy's a legend. The buildables on that map were OP as well. I think that I think it was kind of learning from Transit there. I think that Buried is like the logical progression from Transit, where you say in that map the buildables were insanely underpowered. Okay, so we need to buff the buildables, and then you get Buried's buildables. Which, as I commented on the video, let you camp in every corner on the map. They're busted. The time bomb was a super cool mechanic. I wish it came back more, and I think it was especially funny to see it on the town that was literally buried. By the way, if you didn't get it, the pun in the name there is that it's an old Wild West town that was literally physically buried under the ground as a new society was built on top of it. But the Wonder Weapons box spam again, although they seem to be more common. Honestly, they do on that map. Like, it seems like there are a couple maps that have increased Wonder Weapon drop chances, but it's still box spam Wonder Weapon, so I still can't say that I like it. But the one thing that I think is really good about Buried, and the reason I'm going to put it above Tag in the subpart category, is that it was fundamentally accessible to all players. There were good spots to train on the map, there were good spots to camp on the map. If you were good at the game, There were plenty of places to challenge yourself. If you were bad at the game, it was easy enough to get to high rounds anyways, so you could still have fun with your friends and be like, look, I did something cool. Even though, like, we all know camping with the subsurface resonator isn't actually a skill-based thing. Camping with a subsurface resonator is still, like, you know, I think it's nice occasionally to have a map in there that gives you mechanics that are totally optional. Like, so the difference between that and, let's say, Juggernog, right, is like Juggernog is a crutch perk, right? Like 99% of players get it every game, and if you don't get it one game, you're doing like a challenge. But you can genuinely play Buried without the subsurface resonator. You never need to build it. You never even need to open that building, and you can still do just fine for yourself. So overall, like, I think the subsurface resonator kind of did its job well enough for the time, and I think it taught Treyarch that they need to be a little bit more careful with their buildables. But again, I think it took some influence from Transit. And Buried was the first time they tried out that infinite ammo thing. I think it went better in Buried than it did in any other map, honestly, because everybody knew the Paralyzer was weak, but it gave you mobility instead. So, like, it was... it kind of fit a separate niche. That's how I'll put it. Like, because it gave you mobility, it wasn't just a bad wonder weapon that compensated for low damage with high ammo. It was actually something that could be used for utility in addition to killing zombies, and Vulture was an awesome addition. Like, Vulture was such a cool perk. The spiritual predecessor to Luna, who is another incredible perk. Bloodwolf Bite is the actual perk name, I apologize. But again, overall, I think Buried was a good map. I think it was fun to play no matter who you are, and it may have been a little bit easy, but sometimes, like easy isn't always bad. Like, obviously, based on what tops my list, I prefer a little bit of a challenge, but that doesn't mean everybody does. And I think based off of all the other factors that we've rated here so far, and based off of the difficulty level of the map, I think C is a fine place to put it.
Next up, we got Classified. Okay, Classified, you go right above 5. These two, I stand by what I said at the beginning. Classified was a slightly improved version of 5.
So now we're just waiting for him to pick Alpha Omega, and then we can get out of here. I'm not, by the way, the reason I'm muting the video, number one, is that I can talk over it more clearly, but number two is because I don't want to just take any more of Noah's content than I absolutely have to. You know, like, obviously, I'm watching this video because it's a live reaction. I don't have time to script it. Otherwise, I might actually just take a picture of his... I might just take a picture of his final list and script from the video and just write out my responses like that. But, no, like, I still want his content to be his content. But again, just remember to try to be civil. And here we are. We're going to tune back in here for his talk about Alpha Omega, and then we're going to be able to wrap up the video.
Hard to say anything else about Extinction other than just, good try. So here we go. All right, we've got next Alpha Omega. Okay, the Nuketown remake. I just realized Nuketown isn't on this, so I'm gonna kind of combine both of these, and I'm gonna say it was lackluster. I would put it right behind Transit. Right behind Transit. It was just lackluster, and Nuketown Zombies would probably go in this exact same spot because I don't think they did Nuketown Zombies. They kind of forgot about Nuketown. Both of them go right here. Just kind of lackluster. Nothing special about the maps. They were okay. They had some good parts to it, some bad parts. It's kind of meh. And I feel that way about a lot of the remakes, to be completely honest with you. It's just hard to make something better than the original. If it had to be remade, it probably shouldn't be. You know what I'm saying? All right, we got 3 left. Let's see. We've got the Giant. Okay.
Alpha Omega didn't have to be remade. I prefer Nuketown to Alpha Omega. Honestly, I do. I won't play Alpha Omega again. Like, I might play Gorod Krovi casually if I'm having a bad day, or if I care about you and you want to play. I might play Firebase Z again if you really need the Easter egg and you need a stable second to help you. Like, all of these maps are maps that I might play again, but you probably won't catch me playing. Like, Revelations, I'll only play for somebody else. Blood of the Dead, I'll only play for somebody else. Like, a lot of these maps I would only play for somebody else, right? Town, Bus Depot, and Farm. Honestly, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I did it for Nuketown. Town, Bus Depot, and Farm could have been in World at War. They were simple maps. They were easy maps. I don't know if it's fair to put them up against some of these other maps because they don't share many character, like they don't have any side Easter eggs. They don't have any special defining character. Like the most action that exists in all three of these maps is the bus moving to reveal a lava pit on Bus Depot. That's it. That's the only dynamic part of any of these three maps. They're all just box spam like old maps, so I guess we're gonna leave them there. But Alpha Omega does everything wrong. The Easter egg is annoying at best. The Avogadro boss fight doesn't feel satisfying at all. The Avogadro is annoying to fight. The Easter egg is basically just you trying to like. It's basically just a dick measuring contest with a computer. The map itself has a lot of very weird spaces. Like, they're either way too easy to train in or literally impossible to train in. I don't really think there's any challenge. There's nowhere to camp if you want to do that, although honestly that was kind of a theme in BO4. Like, they kind of did an anti-camping thing in BO4, I think. There aren't many camping spots on any of the maps. Unless the camping spot is being propped up by an overpowered wonder weapon like the Alistair's Annihilator, like the Blood Gauntlet. But what really brings Alpha Omega down in my mind, and what will keep Alpha Omega down in my mind forever. By the way, here's a better look at the list in case you're having, troubles with it. What will always keep Alpha Omega at the very bottom of the list, make it literally unplayable and so bad that it doesn't even deserve to be capitalized, is the enemies. Okay, so we have, ironically, we have dogs, which we can now hear in real life too. Sorry about that. But we've got 4 enemy types on Alpha Omega, excluding Avogadro. We have the base zombies, we have the jumping jacks, we have the jolting jacks, and we have the dogs. Correct? Yeah, I think so. I forget if there are actually jumping jacks on the map, or no, it's Nova 6 crawlers and jolting jacks. So okay. Nova 6 crawlers aren't that bad, honestly. I mean, they deal a little bit of damage over time if you run through them, but it's usually negligible. The dogs run faster than zombies. They've always been annoying. They always will be annoying. That's never going to change, especially when they come mid-round, because then you have to, like, mess up your train to kill them, or just keep getting hit by them, or just sacrifice your entire shield to them, and none of those options are fun. Or you can run modified stamina. Forgot about that one. But there's so many better modifiers to run than stamina up. Especially on a map like Alpha Omega, where it's relatively small. It's not that hard to get around without stamina up. The jolting jacks are like one of the only things that I've ever seen in a video game that I actually want to curse out. Just sit there and shout obscenities at them for hours on end, pun intended. Imagine a game where almost everything is melee, except a couple of bosses on a couple of maps that come, relatively infrequently and make their presence very well announced. Now imagine we add a ranged enemy that spawns in literal packs every round, that can teleport around, that can land on non-playable areas, and that throws lightning balls at you that seem to have aim assist. That's what a jolting jack is. And it's really, really, really bad. It makes training on an already boring map damn near impossible. And if you try to deal with them, you're easily cornered by zombies or overwhelmed unless you have, like, perfect spatial awareness. They add, like, Alpha Omega is the map that defines the reason that I talk about enemy spam on zombies maps. Like, that conversation literally started happening in my mind because of Alpha Omega. Because the enemy spam is so goddamn annoying. and it makes the map so unplayable too. It's just not fun. I don't know how else to put it. Oh yeah, and the Pack-a-Punch locks up again. It's exactly like Origins. It's the same problem with Origins Pack-a-Punch shutting off, and they decided to do it again. I don't think anybody liked it on Origins. I don't know why they did it again. Like, it's not like, like Pack-a-Punch is overpowered in Black Ops 4, but it's overpowered in almost, like in Black Ops 4 and Cold War, Pack-a-Punch is busted. In BO3, Pack-a-Punch is super busted. In BO2, BO1, and World at War, you only Pack-a-Punched because that was the only way you got more damage. Like, it was way too weak, and then it was way too strong. Like, Pack-a-Punch has never been balanced. What's the point in shutting it off? Why don't you just accept that it's going to be overpowered, no matter how you implement it? Honestly, the best balance we've seen for Pack-a-Punch is in Cold War, where at least you don't get the OP damage for a little bit. Like, your options early game are basically either load up on perks or load up on damage. So, like, at least it's decent in Cold War, but still. Alpha Omega has everything in my mind that makes a zombies map annoying, and it has no redeemable factors. Even, like, the fast travel, the fact that you can't put fast travel pads in all of the locations and actually teleport between them all, like, there was no reason to implement that. There was no reason that had to be a thing. The elemental ray guns are boring at best. They're the worst version of a they're the worst 4-of-a-kind wonder weapon. Oh yeah, and I think I already mentioned this, but I definitely did mention this, but the entire Easter egg is a dick measuring contest with a robotic computer who's been dormant for years. I mean, really? That's the best you could, like, at least there are like 100 side Easter eggs on the map, right? No, they're all putting fucking codes into the robot. That's all it is. Like, it's just so bad. Like, Alpha Omega is, I think, the only map I will genuinely never play again. I don't know what else to say about it. That's not just, you know, me swearing at it more and repeating myself. So I'm gonna try not to fall down into that hole and say, just a reminder to try to be civil with each other in the comments. I'll try to be civil with everybody in the comments as well. If you guys want more in-depth reviews on any of these maps, if you want me to actually go into, like, my opinions of, like, I was thinking about it, right? Like, I could do videos about why these maps are the average. I could do a video about, like, I could do a video teeing up Shadows of Evil to literally every other map and explaining why I think it's the best map Zombies has ever made. I could do the same. I already did the same for Dead of the Night and people loved it. Like, I could do, you know, like, I could literally go through all of these maps and say, like, listen, here's how it marks up to other maps and here's why it is where it is. And I could go into more depth than I have here if people are interested in seeing that. But, that's up to you guys. For now, though, I guess don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Oh, wait a minute, I said I'd never say that. I'm a sellout. That's the easy answer here. On second thought, actually, you can like, comment, or subscribe if you want to. There's no pressure to. And I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching, and this has been a nightmare to record. I'm so drained.